Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 302. Spencer, calm down, please. We have guests. But Spencer Lappin back in the garage. Nate Hale, obviously, with us here.
Good evening. Hear you, bro.
Good evening.
It's because all I did was smile. I hope there wasn't a noise coming from my smile.
Episode 302, we've got a bottle of Uncle Nearest Rye we're going to be talking about tonight. And then we also have a newer Cohiba, thanks to Tinder Box at Easton, one of our sponsors here, Cohiba, Riviera, and also that's from General Cigars. They were kind enough to send these to us. And we've been sitting on these for a little while. I like this cigar. I've had it before, so I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it. I want to thank you guys out there, patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. There's monthly things you can do there as far as contributions, $5, $10, $25. Appreciate all that support from you guys. It's awesome. Helps us keep this going. Hopefully you guys tune in, or at the very least you will listen on the audio or whatever it might be. But we want to hear from you guys while we record or after the fact. But definitely appreciate that support. Also, one-time contributions at Venmo at Bourbon and BS. You can do it that way. I also want to thank, like I mentioned, Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. They have the Cohiba Riviera along with other Cohibas such as the limited edition Weller. They've got the, the blue, the white, which is Connecticut, which we did recently, and then also the black and the Royale.
I was about to say Royale.
My favorite one, yeah.
No OG red dot?
No red dots. They really slowed down. So don't have those at Tinder Box at Easton right now. But I also want to thank Altadis USA. We've got a Romeo y Julieta 1875, Connecticut, Nicaragua for the second part of the show tonight. I want to thank them for their continued support. They will be at the Smoking 10 event, Columbus, Ohio.
We're doing a Smoking 10 event this year, Steven?
March 16th. It's a Saturday. Tickets are on sale now. Contact Tinderbox at Easton. If you guys don't know how to do that, contact us at the show, and I'll point you in the right direction. But we've got some heavy hitters there. And at the booth for Altadis, I think we're going to have a very nice surprise that, and don't say anything, but I think Nate will be very happy about, because we might be handing out one of his favorite cigars.
Oh.
Don't.
The Marlboro Man himself.
Don't say anything. Don't guess. No guesses. We can talk off camera. Nope.
I've seen him on his drive to Christmas. I've never seen him on Christmas, and that's about as happy as I've seen his face.
I think he knows what it is.
Okay.
It has a certain year on it. Stop it.
Yes.
So yeah, they're going to be there this year, along with about a dozen or so other companies. We're going to have Rocky Patel himself there. We're going to have Eric Espinosa there. And I'll be officially announcing this on the Tinderbox at Easton page tomorrow, but Ricky Rodriguez is coming back to the tent, which he had to move his schedule around. So we're really happy about that. And he's happy about coming back. He really wanted to be there. So he was supposed to be in Arizona. So that'll be great to have him back in the tent.
And
Arizona
Arizona in March or Columbus, Ohio in March.
He's not happy about the weather, but
we don't know what it's going to be yet.
You never know. So tickets are on sale for that event, and we're happy to have you guys there. They are selling quickly, so make sure you get a hold of them at Tinderbox at Easton very quickly if you can. Again, March 16th. BS Cigar Company, the Gold and Silver are available, and they will be, I think, also sold at the tent at probably some sort of a discount at the sales table. But for right now, the Gold and Silver, gold made by Plasencia, and the silver's made by Espinosa Cigars, and they are available. And if you guys want some swag like the hoodies that Nate and I have on, check out buyjack.com/bourbon and BS.
They can't see us if all of us wear the camo. They just can't.
It would just be like floating heads here. It'd be really weird. Really weird. I understand.
You guys plan this?
Talking heads.
Is it better if we did or did?
Buyjack.com/bourbon and BS, and you guys can get some swag like these hoodies. There's other BS Cigar Company hoodies on there. There's some podcast shirts. There's BS shirts on there as well. And there's some ladies' deep V-necks on there. There's 3/4 sleeves on there. It's quite, I mean, you can dress the whole family. So check it out. You're right there, buddy.
I started following this site, or I guess it's an account called Awkward Family Photos.
Oh, yeah.
On Instagram. And
You want to do one with our gear?
Do one with all the BS gear.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that. I wanted to say for those that are in Ohio and elsewhere as well, but there was a little bit of cigar news today. The state of Ohio, the state Senate decided to they voted to override the governor's veto for all flavored tobacco ban. So it's going to taking it back up to state level. So if you're in cities like Columbus, I know other states and cities are doing this, but it was at a city level, and they basically, as of January 1st in Columbus, you're not allowed to sell anything marketed as flavored tobacco, including vapes. For some reason, that's included with tobacco products, but vapes, pipe tobacco, premium cigars, not premium cigars, menthol cigarettes, flavored dip, all that stuff.
Like a vanilla black and mild?
Like a vanilla black and mild, but you couldn't sell Java mint. You couldn't sell Java because it says Java. I couldn't sell you Grizzly Wintergreen because it's flavored tobacco. So as of now, 90 days out, we'll have that going back. So that was kind of a big win for the industry.
So
honestly,
the governor wanted to have it banned, or did not want to have it banned?
our governor didn't want to make a decision, so we put it on the city level, which
Got it.
is typically what's going on.
I saw in New York City they're trying to ban Zyn in the state of New York.
Yeah, because nicotine pouches and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a win for your industry.
Win for the industry. The reason they were doing it, I think it's a win as well, just because I think that they were doing it for the wrong reasons.
Not to help the kids, but for
It's already illegal to sell to 21 and under, or under 21, excuse me. So that was already it was law. So that was a big part of it. But they were claiming that it was targeting certain communities, especially menthol cigarettes.
21 or 18.
It's 21.
So you can buy certain products at 18 that you can't buy at 21.
You can't buy anything. Yeah. So tobacco, it's 21 and up in Ohio.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
About 6 years ago.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Well, you were over the age. So.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect me, but yeah.
But yeah, so that's like I said, it's a thing. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm happy that it changed. But that's a little bit of cigar news there for you. Cheers. All right, we're going to be talking about. I'm going to light this up here. Did you light it up, Nate?
I did.
We've got the Cohiba Riviera. This is going to be Cohiba's first box press cigar, first of all, which I thought was very unique. You guys are commenting on the color of the band.
I did not know Cohiba made a purple cigar.
Right.
And does Riviera mean anything?
It does. I think it's more for the. Let's see if they have it on their site here. They always have a story, so I pulled that up. Bask in luxury. The artisans at Cohiba are proud to present Cohiba Riviera, an exquisite cigar which enters new territory for the brand. Riviera is the only box-pressed offering in our collection, as well as the only to feature a San Andres wrapper. Featuring a medium-bodied, according to them, 3-country blend, Cohiba Riviera is a unique expression, ideal for those wanting to experience a new view of luxury. Taking a picture of yourself?
The people need to know.
Talk about a view of luxury right there. San Andres wrapper on this. Nate, any ideas? I mean, you're shooting blind, but do you think it's your classic San Andres over Nicaraguan, or what do you think? Knowing Cohiba.
Well, you said 3-country blend,
right?
And you said San Andreas
wrapper.
San Andreas wrapper. All right, so that's Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So, knowing where Cohiba is based, part of me wants to say there's some Dominican tobacco in here, but I think you're trying to throw me off. And I'm going to say there's some Nicaraguan, and then I'll throw out Peruvian.
Ooh, that's a good guess.
If you say Costa Rican, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, don't get upset.
No.
Honduras.
Okay.
So they are, they've been doing some interesting things. Like when we had the Cohiba Connecticut on not too long ago, obviously that was a 5-country blend. So this coming out, Sean Williams, who's kind of the brand ambassador, I think he has some influence. When we spoke with Sean before on the show, he does have a hand in the blending and the projects. more of
Yes.
So he has some control over that.
Yeah, he was
and
part
also
of
the marketing side of it.
he was part of that rebrand where it went to the type of bands that you see now, like these really bright glossy bands that you see like Dominican Republic in the silver above and below the word Cohiba, and just kind of modernized it and made it pop a little bit more.
Very much so.
The old bands were kind of that soft cream color, really flat. But the new bands really pop. And the first one I think was the blue. That was the first one with the new bands, and I think that was the first blend that Sean did coming to the company.
And then Connecticut followed there. So it is a unique blend, as expected now, I think, with Sean and Cohiba. So you got San Andreas wrapper, as we discussed. You also have a Honduran Connecticut binder, which is unique. And then you have a Honduran and Nicaraguan blend in the filler.
Okay.
So it's the Yamastran region. It's got Condega, Esteli. So you've got some different regions of two different countries in the filler, but you also have that unique, in my opinion, Honduran Connecticut seed for the binder.
Yeah, Connecticut seed in Honduras. Yeah.
This does not taste like a Cohiba.
Why do you say that?
I think aesthetically, it just doesn't look like a Cohiba with the darker wrapper just in general. And for me, it has a little more depth maybe it's because we had the Connecticut a few weeks ago. But for me, this when I think Cohiba, I think a little bit more elegant, maybe less harsh. I mean, it just doesn't strike me as something Cohiba typically comes out with. If I'm way off, let me know.
No, you're not way. I mean, that's your opinion. You're not way off. I would agree with you. I think this with Cohiba being known for their red dot originally, at least this is, and Ray on the feed here is talk about the non-Cuban Cohibas because that's what we're smoking here. But it's very different from what they are, I think, well known for, which was I think the Cohiba red dot, which is that Cameroon wrapper.
Yep.
Then they have the black, which is really popular, which everyone thinks is a super bold cigar. I think it's got some body to it, but it's got that Connecticut broadleaf overall Dominican filler.
It's bold and rich.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's very one dimensional.
I agree with you there.
That's why I liked that Royale so much when they came out with it, because I felt it was a little bit lighter than the black, but much more complex in the flavor.
They're utilizing some of their portfolio of tobaccos that, again, I think they are trying to create a broader portfolio. And I think that's probably why you're saying what you're saying, Spencer, is because it's something where they aren't just going to put out another medium
Monte Cristo whitish type of cigar.
You can't keep doing that. Like even their Connecticut has a variety of tobaccos in there. They didn't just do a Connecticut seed over Dominican tobacco. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that they're trying to fulfill different types of things where they're saying these aren't just another cigar that on paper looks the same as everything else. This is something that's going to be unique, and it's going to be something very thoughtful, and we're blending stuff that we're going to make. If you buy a different color Cohiba as far as the band, you're going to have a totally different smoking experience. You are not going to typically, for I think a typical cigar smoker that has like a wheelhouse of what they like, you're not going to like every Cohiba anymore.
Yeah,
we're not.
I like
we're not
cigar.
doing
It just
that.
doesn't strike me. Now, do you think it's because they already have these crops? And they're like, hey, how can we utilize these crops that we weren't using as much? Or do you think they're, hey, let's go to a whole different direction. Let's grow something different.
Yeah, we've had that conversation before with some blenders. Mentioned earlier, Ricky Rodriguez, when he was working with CAO and General Cigars, the big company, which Cohiba is part of General Cigars as well. There has to be a little bit of, I think, the business side there. Yeah. What are we doing with these tobaccos that we have or we bought or whatever it might be? But I also like to think that someone like Sean Williams is saying, all right, what's my next project? Well, and he's having conversations with the powers that be that, all right, you have this. Hey, let's do another mild one, or, hey, let's do something with a San Andreas wrapper leaf is really hot. So let's do something in the Cohiba portfolio with that wrapper leaf on there.
I think I got to get my mind wrapped around, hey, it's a quality cigar. It's just not what I'm used to from Cohiba, and enjoy it for exactly what it is, which is a good cigar.
Absolutely.
Well, and don't forget, Sean also does that once a year release, the Spectre. where he's basically like going into their vault and getting like these old tobaccos that they have very limited quantities of, and they do like 1,000 boxes a year, 10-count boxes, and they usually retail at about $100 a stick. But at the trade show, they sell out usually in the first day.
The branding on this thing, I mean, the box alone, I bet you add
the most recent one was $120 a stick because it was
a motorized box.
We do get one of those at 10. Everyone gets one at the 10 event.
A whole box.
When you walk in, it's
whole box. Yeah.
Retail, it's a $1,200 box.
I don't need the whole box
because it has like these hydraulics.
You see the box.
Oh yeah,
it's like
individual tubes, but hydraulics lift it up.
Do you have this at the shop?
No,
God
no.
Brian ain't buying that.
It was not. No, I didn't say God. I said no. Unfortunately, like,
you can't get.
I love that. Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't try. Maybe next year.
I mean,
it'd be fun to have.
Yeah, for showpiece, someone's gonna buy it.
I mean, we sell $100 Davidoff, so
yeah.
Whatever. I like what you said, Spencer, that you just have to get out of your head that this is what Cohiba might be. You know, that's where we're at. I like this cigar. I like that it's a different blend. I think going with box press, it's interesting to me because you do compare it to other brands or other Cohibas too, but you compare it to other brands. So it's like you put a maybe not as flashy band on this, and this looks like a Padron. Like one of their anniversaries, one of their 26 series, whatever. But this band, I don't know what you guys think. This band doesn't sit the thickness, like as far as it doesn't sit on a box press as pretty as a Padron band or something like that.
Is there supposed to be a different taste to a box press than a non-box press?
Yeah, sometimes you're going to have that because, we've talked about that before, where to do a box press, typically with a blend, you will have to either take out a leaf typically of the filler. So if you did a round version of this, you'd have to somehow either add another leaf of what you have in there, or you add another leaf of something else. So that's one of the reasons why sometimes the box press, I think this smokes construction wise a lot like a Padron. It's a fairly airy draw. It's a quicker smoke. You don't think so?
For me, it's
they can't hear your face.
For me, I have to I don't know. I'm kind of having to pull on it a little bit.
Really?
And then I had some soft spots on one of the sides of the cigar, so I got to smoke it like on its side in order to try and get that to burn evenly.
Do what you gotta do, Nate.
Enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been that even of a smoke from the get-go. Like one side immediately.
So construction-wise, it's not great.
One side immediately just started burning
I could
faster.
argue that Padron does the same thing.
Yeah, but it feels like for the effort that I'm putting into smoking this, I'm not getting as much smoke as I would expect.
What about you, Spencer, while you cough? Too much smoke?
I'm not having any issues. Patron's one, I think, most people's favorite cigars, right? Or at least
it's a favorite.
Right?
Yeah, it's highly rated.
I mean, how much is this cigar?
15 to 30.
Okay, so
this one.
This one. I thought you were talking about Padron.
So that's
You're at $20.
That's going to come into effect with the rating, I feel, like, because I don't think that this is the same flavor wise as a Padron.
You might have to turn his mic up a little bit.
Well, he just has to keep his head pointed at it. Open your mouth. Well,
stop it. Jesus. Stop it.
Good thing Sean's mic was not on for that comment.
What were you saying, Spencer?
Now I'm all flustered. But I was thinking, because it's a shorter cigar, because it's a newer brand, I was going to think that it was closer to $12 or $13.
Yeah.
For a Cohiba, which I was like, oh, maybe this is like an entry level.
No, that's the blue
Cohiba.
Although they do have a couple of online Cohibas that are even less expensive than the Cohiba Blue. They've got one called the Puro Dominicana.
You said online?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I used to carry them at the humidor at Carfagna's. It's like a $10 smoke from Cohiba. It's like
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I get yours. Mine's smoking very nicely. I've got great construction, draw, everything. You had soft spots in yours. I don't really have that. I think it's a quicker smoke. This is like a 5x50, I believe, Robusto. So it's not a big smoke. You're not going to see. I think the Cohiba Blue is very confusing for me because of the price point, and it smokes very well. So I think that was a big statement by them. Where this is going to smoke, It's funny your comment about Nate with the Padron. Like when I said Padron, and you're like, it's kind of all over the board. I think that Padron's 1964s and 26s, people swear by him, right? And they pay a good penny for him.
They're consistent.
They can be, but I've seen plenty of them.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
smoked some that are going to be
I
quick
smoked-
smokes. They're like very airy.
I smoked a 64 last night.
Did you?
Yeah, that's one of those. There's that idea that on all the Padrones, there's like a leaf less in the filler, and that's why they tend to burn up so quick.
Right.
So, yeah. Because I used to try and do when I was doing walks every day, like I'd try and grab I try and grab different cigars that were about a 45 minute smoke, and I grabbed a Padron, I think a Londres.
Mhm.
It was like 30-minute smoke, and it's basically like a Corona size.
Yeah. That's
And-
part of the Padron series, right?
Yeah, that's
the
part of the
regular-
regular Padron
Yeah.
series, but it's like, man, that cigar didn't even make it the entire walk. But
Yeah.
then, smoke some like the Nest Miranda coffee break, that little like 4.5 inch, and that thing would dead on like the
Yeah.
right amount of time smoke. It's
You
just
guys
weird.
done any nubs or anything like that on the?
I think we've done one or two.
Okay.
Definitely can look at that. Nubs are great cigars, I think, as well. I like this cigar. I like the flavor profile. I think it's got a little bit of it's sharpness, but not in a bad way. I think it's got a little bit of like that black pepper to it. I think it's got your classic, more like that black coffee. It's got like a little staying in that ballpark espresso, a lot of that.
Rich, dark.
Sean, you want to say something there?
Yeah, I'm just gonna come on the cigar as well. I have a pretty good, like, nice even burn all the way through so far.
So yours is smoking well,
yeah.
as is mine. Okay, so
And-
we've got a couple smoking well.
Yeah, and it seems to, like, when I sit it down and I look back, it's got a decent, plume of smoke coming up a little bit. It's staying pretty consistent like that. Definitely get some pepper on the retrohale.
Yeah. Yeah.
But overall, how much? What's the price point?
It's 20. It's a Cohiba.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Not for you, Sean.
Yeah, you owe me $20. Yeah, you got that on you.
Patreon.
Page, yeah, Venmo at Bourbon and BS. $20. I'll take that $20 whenever you get a chance. Hey, you know what? But yeah, we can talk about it more in the ratings. See how it smokes here. I do like the overall branding of the Cohiba stuff. I don't think this sits as well. Like I said, the band doesn't sit as elegantly on a box press cigar, but he had to stay consistent with the marketing and the branding behind it, and with that purple. I think the box, if you guys have seen any of the Cohiba boxes with the rebranding, they are like the black Cohiba Black is a black box, and the Connecticut is an all white box, and the Riviera, show you Spencer,
Please.
Purple box.
it's a
Oh, that's beautiful.
shiny, so it's all purple with just Cohiba, like that black with the silver on it. It's got beautiful like silver latch on there. I mean, it's just a really, really nice looking box there.
Cool.
So yeah,
I like it.
yeah, the branding on it, I think, is spot on. I think they've done a great job with that.
A little Prince action here.
Little print.
Purple
Ray was commenting. We can kind of talk about this briefly. He was asking about the non-Cuban Cohibas. He's seen them a lot of places. He steered clear of them. I don't think that's uncommon. I think a lot of, especially people that are not from the U.S., I think that they're going to steer clear of it because they think that they're just not the real Cohibas. But there's a whole long story about the branding of Cohiba, U.S. versus Cuban. It's a long, still ongoing lawsuit that keeps going back and forth between all of the parties involved. So
What's
It's-
the gist of it?
that they both say that they own it, and that Cohiba was, to my knowledge, it was actually like Fidel's personal brand that he would give to visitors and smoke himself. But as far as selling out of the U.S. trademark was actually in effect before the Cubans were actually sold publicly. And so it keeps going back and forth through different lawsuits, and basically it's still going on.
Yeah.
Where like the Monte Cristo and a lot of the other like brands, there's no lawsuit on that.
Now, in the Dominican Republic, do they sell Cubans?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Yes, they do. But all the Cubans are going to be sold at very high prices now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That was another thing that they were all marketed after now they're now sold at the Hong Kong pricing because a Chinese company bought the lion's share of that. Habanos SA still owns the other half, but it's going to be something that they changed the global pricing to be consistent.
Got it.
So we'll see what it is in the DR. Nate, Uncle Nearest Rye.
Yeah, this bottle's a little familiar.
The man physically can't. He physically can't help himself.
Oh, was I not supposed? Oh. Well, I mean, we can touch on it again. So
Might as well. I mean, you want to just call
Uncle
it a night?
New to me and new to the listeners.
Oh, okay. Uncle Nearest.
About 300 some episodes, and we have a duplicate.
Well, normally, like
Just-
you're all right. No, so Uncle Nearest is named after Nathan Green, who was one of the first whiskey distillers in the 1800s. He supposedly how the story goes is he taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey. He actually got his start. He was working at a distillery that was owned by a minister. And then the minister's like, you know what? I think my congregation has an issue with me being a minister and owning a distillery. So he's like, here, you take it over. And so Nathan Green took over operation of the distillery and, kind of changed how it went from there.
Was he a slave?
No.
No.
I think this was in Tennessee. But no, he wasn't a slave. And then
African American.
Yes. And then the lady who actually owns the brand now, she was trying to look up history on her family lineage and stuff and came across that story and started that distillery because he's like her 5 times back grandfather or something like that. And she's a successful entrepreneur and author. And so she was working on a book to, about that family history. And I'm trying to remember all of this from a year ago. And
maybe we all should review this then.
Yes. Well, you threw a curveball at me by not waiting until I got here. Let me know what the bottle was.
Okay.
But yeah, so once she found out who her, great grandfather was, that's when she started the distillery and named it after him. And
They have 2 different versions.
There's actually
Several now.
there's 3 that I know of in Ohio. There's the regular bourbon, which is like 1884, I think it is. Then there's a 100 proof bourbon, which I think is called 1856. And then the rye, and I think the rye came out 2 years ago. And interesting thing about this, it's 100% rye. It's not a 95.5. There's no malted barley. It's 100% rye. It's made in Canada.
Like a lot of rye stuff comes out of that.
Made in Canada, aged in New York and Tennessee.
New York City.
And then aged and bottled
I like it.
in Shelbyville, Tennessee at their distillery. So they make the bourbons, but then they source the rye from Canada.
What's the proof on the rye?
This is 100 proof.
Nick, you're a rye guy.
I do like rye.
What are your thoughts on this rye?
Surprisingly, being 100% rye, it doesn't have those big spicy notes.
Not at all.
Yeah. This is, a little bit, it's not like some of those 51% ryes. Like this isn't like a Sazerac or Smoke Wagon ryes that are 51% rye mash bills. So surprisingly, this actually has a fair amount of sweetness, given that there's 0 corn in the mash bill.
And a lot of like apple cider that has turned a little bit.
It's turned a little bit.
I mean, apples, it's
No, I get
not
it.
the sweetness,
It's fermented.
it's fermented apple cider a little bit. There is not any of the spices that I'm familiar with the rye on this.
You don't think?
One.
If I hadn't said it, would you have believed me if I told you this was 100% rye?
I would not. Steve, what do you think?
So I don't think it's a bold like spice like some ryes.
Not a spice bomb.
It's not a spice bomb, but it does. I think it has spice on the finish. It kind of lingers for me.
A little bit.
But
Just
a
throat?
little bit more on my tongue. Like when you put you after you're done, if you swallow and then kind of
It's got like a little.
as you start swallowing again with not another sip of it, but like when your tongue goes to your roof of your mouth, I get a lot of a spice sensation on my tongue, on my palate,
Good call.
right in the middle of the tongue. I mean, it's smack dab in the middle. It's not on the sides. It's not.
Yeah.
There's no like sweet like up front. I get what you guys are saying about the sweetness. I think that this does it transitions to the finish very quickly for me. And when you guys both were like, yeah, there's no spice on this, I'm like sitting here listening to you guys. I'm like, I'm getting a little bit of like spice just because I think it does. It transitions to the finish very, very quickly. And I like it. I am not surprised that it's not like one of the 51 or whatever. Like you said, this is 100 or this is 95.5?
It's 100% rye.
100% rye. I mean, I would be surprised if this was like a high, like if you were like, oh no, it's like 72% corn. I'm like, well, what the fuck? You know what I mean? I would not expect that. But I mean, I like the flavor. I think it's fairly unique. I think it's going to be something that people will enjoy sipping on. I do still love the story of the Uncle Nearest timeline. Their marketing's fantastic. Their website, if you guys go to their website, I know I've said this when we've done Uncle Nearest products in the past. I think the website does a great job. They went all out. They even hired what's the guy's name?
Spike Lee.
It's not Spike Lee. Oh God, he was Muddy Waters in Cadillac Records. Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, okay.
Jeffrey Wright,
okay.
the actor.
Yeah.
Just a fantastic.
Empire.
Yep. But he does
Hunger
a
Games.
whole. If you go, and this is the mobile one, but I mean, I'm just kind of showing these guys here. You go to the history on their website. I encourage you guys to do the same. UncleNearest.com. They've got the story here.
What does this bottle run you, Steve?
So this bottle's 59.
Interesting.
So on the homepage, there you go, the story of Uncle Nearest, and there's Jeffrey right there, and he tells the whole story, and he great narrator, and it's a great little presentation. I don't know, it's 10 minutes long, but I'd encourage you guys if you want to learn a little bit about what Nate was talking about, and I know Nate does a great job telling the story, but Jeffrey Wright, he's kind of a professional,
Yeah.
so I think he's a little bit more polished. You did a great job. I appreciate that. He's more in like an armchair in a house and all this, what I mean? It's a little bit.
Is it different?
I mean, you can see the difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you could have done a better job than him.
It's debatable. I mean, I'd give a crack at it. I don't like that reaction there, Spencer, but I understand
that you're not at the same level as a professional
Actor.
It was that you disagreed so quickly was what I really.
Don't forget, Steve used to do radio.
I feel like we're at the point of our friendship where I shouldn't lie to your face
Just
behind your back.
No,
on
just
camera.
just
Yeah.
in front of
Dozens
and dozens of people.
So do you guys like the other Uncle Nearest?
It's been so long since, like, I haven't had an Uncle Nearest since the last time we did an Uncle Nearest on the podcast.
I remember when they came out, it was a big deal and people did know the story right away. It was one of the few bourbons I remember that had people knew the background story about the bottle pretty much right away.
Yeah.
And it was the Jack Daniels, the guy who came up with this,
taught Jack Daniels how to do what he does.
And
and now he's getting the credit for
there
it.
you go.
Yeah.
So that's a story. And I think that can propel something. The rye itself, it is unique. It doesn't taste like any other rye that I've ever had. But $60 for this rye, cocktail or no cocktail with this?
So, I mean, that's up to you. And we kind of have had this, not debate, but conversation. I mean, once you buy the bottle, I mean, I think this would be a great Manhattan.
And I was looking for this because did you know vermouth goes bad?
I assume.
Yes.
Okay. So what type of vermouth would you get? Like if you're at the store, like what type of vermouth would you get for a Manhattan?
So, I mean, it would depend on what type of whiskey you're using for your Manhattan.
General. You just want one for your bar.
No, let me say this. If you are using a whiskey that is a bolder, spicier whiskey, I would go with a sweet vermouth. If you were doing something that was a little bit more subtle and had more sweetness, I would do a dry vermouth.
What would you do with this?
Dry.
You would do a dry with this.
I think for the most part, you want to go dry for the most part. I've been doing sweet, and I think that dry is probably better the way to go
For your Manhattan.
for my Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the Luxardo and the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this would go well in a cocktail. I think this is a nice sipper as well. Again, I think that I'm sensing from you guys that it's not your favorite, which is fine. I would agree with you at $60. It was something that, I had forgotten that we had done on the show before. I actually had another bottle I was telling Nate in my hand because I hadn't seen it. But then when I looked at our history with that one, it was a Basil Hayden's.
Toast?
No, we've done toast. It was the malted rye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was the same price as this. It was $59.99. And I'm like, well, we've done a lot of Basil Hayden's before. And I looked and it was like episode 80 something in the description. All it said was not your normal rye. Well, Nate was, I think, right, because I was looking at that and the dark rye.
Yeah.
I know we had done the dark rye. So I hadn't had it. It looked good, the Basil Hayden's. So I kind of regret not getting that just because we have done this bottle before. But I thought this is once I figured that out, I was like, it's a good one. People still are talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm happy
I had a
with
group of people in at the shop the other two Saturdays ago, and a bunch of guys, and they brought in Uncle Nearest, and they were kind of like people. Not everyone knew what it was, so I kind of overheard like, oh yeah, and they started telling the story. I think there's still some magic behind the story of this, and so that's why I thought, you know what, for the same price, let me get an Uncle Nearest bottle, and there you go. That's what we ended up with. But I would agree with you guys that for $60, I think you're paying higher prices. We've talked about that a lot of times on here for Ryes. And so I'm not surprised this is in that ballpark. And I know that this was even for whatever reason in the more not allocated stuff, but at the liquor store right by me up the street, it was in the case with some like the
Really?
Well, they have it like with like the Widow Jane, and they have it with some other, they have some high dollar ones in there too, but
Yeah.
it's no longer, I think, the high dollar stuff. I think it's just the ones people are talking about and popular that are in that kind of price range. Because I was going to get a Bardstown because we're going to that thing tomorrow night. Nate and I are going to a tasting with Bardstown, and like they had some Bardstown right on the end, the end cap where they have a lot of the allocated bottles. I'm like, oh, I'll get one of those. $159. I'm like, I'm not getting one of those.
That's probably the collaboration series. My guess is that's the Goose Island collaboration.
I'm not. Yeah.
It's a good bottle.
Good beer.
But your Kroger, I've been to that Kroger, and there was a time that there were a couple of $50 bottles in that locked up cabinet. And I'm like, oh, why is this here? Yeah, I'll buy that, but it's only $50 and wasn't something that's wildly popular either at the time. I'm like, nah. And everyone then is looking at me because I'm like, hey, can I get this bottle out of the cabinet? And this is $50 bottle, and everyone in the line behind me is like, what's in the cabinet? I'm like, what's he getting out of the cabinet?
Yeah.
It was a $50 rye, but that was a Kentucky Owl. That was the Wise Man rye.
Mm-hmm.
It was just their Kentucky Owl is a lower price point.
Yeah.
Label.
What do you guys think? How's this pairing? I know we can get to the ratings here shortly, but I'm curious.
I think that's the cigar. Now that focusing a little bit more on the bourbon, I think that the cigar doesn't owe. I think the cigar is more powerful than the bourbon itself, which is fine because I'd like to enjoy the $20 cigar and have a sipping bourbon next to it.
Yeah,
which is where my head is with it. I don't think that they do anything together that. I just don't think that anything happens together magically with the two of them.
No, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's great. I mean, I think it's a fine pairing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's nothing wrong with it. I will say, as I'm getting towards the end of my first pour here, a lot of that spice that was on my palate lingering is kind of fading.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
shorter finish.
No, what I was talking about, the spice. I think that the way that it was hitting my tongue, it's kind of that whole idea of like your nerve endings have kind of gotten used to that shock on there.
The alcohol.
So it's kind of now retreated a little bit, I would say.
When I go to cigar to this rye, there's a lot of sweetness.
Yeah.
But when I go the other way, it makes the spice like there's not a whole lot of spice on this cigar, but when you go this rye and then take a draw of this cigar, there's this powerful spice that like makes your whole tongue kind of tingle
on the cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
I like it.
I do too.
Yeah, it makes me know I'm
How
doing
much,
something.
Spencer? All right, let's do the ratings.
Any idea what you guys did 100 episodes ago with this? Out of curiosity,
Yeah, I know.
I'd be curious.
Well, let's go fresh now, even though Nate can't since he looked it up. But let's start with you, Spencer.
All right, cigar first. So thank you, Steve, for this wonderful cigar. I'm gonna go a 8.25 on the cigar.
Okay.
Not thrilled with the $20 price point, but free to me is great. And I
Thank you, Tinder Box at Easton, where you can find this.
Thank you, Tinder Box. Buy one, get one.
Sounds like a deal.
Not buy one, get another one. It's buy one and you get it.
Yeah.
The bourbon's going to be a lower one for me. And I'm going to go like 6.5.
Oof.
I know. And it's not because it's a terrible bourbon. It's just for me, it's a bit forgettable.
It's not a bourbon.
Right.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I'm so for it.
It's a terrible bourbon. No, it's not one. So.
Together,
That's good.
7.5. But I think the treat here is the cigar, and
Okay.
then the bourbon here is
The rye.
the rye is a distant second.
Okay. Sean, what do you think? You're smoking and drinking this.
Yeah, cigar. I'm with Spence. I'll probably give it 8.5. Probably would. Again, the price point I kind of agree with. It'd be. It just it being such a smaller cigar, it's like hard to justify, at least for my wallet. But it's a good cigar. That's why I want to give it 8.5. It has good flavor for me. The construction was perfect.
Same.
The burn was great, and good flavor, good strong medium cigar, and I enjoyed it. The bourbon I'm with Spence on that. I'm probably I'll do an 8. I mean, it's okay. It's not something that like really jumps out at me, so it's kind of a but or sorry, whiskey rye.
Isn't 8?
It's an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said it's kind of
Yeah, you're a nice man.
I'm generous, okay?
Okay.
Usually I go higher. So to me it's I'm not the Russian judge here. The pairing, probably give an 8 as well. Again, it's just I think they do better separately for me. I like this probably more than that and the pairing itself. So that's what I got.
All right. On the whiskey, I assume you wanted me to go next, Steve.
Nate, let's hear from you.
On the, I don't want to jump the gun.
I think he's still bitter that I bought a bottle that we've
No.
done before. You sensing what I'm
This
sensing?
was so easily to avoid. Mention.
I know.
On the whiskey, the rye whiskey, I'm gonna go 7.
Okay.
Not the most complex rye that we've had on the show. There's not a whole lot of depth to it. I think even though it's a 100% rye, it comes across, and it's 100 proof. It still kind of comes across the palate a little on the thin side. And that's, there is that little sweetness, but as Steve alluded to, like that finish spice that you get from it kind of kicks in pretty quick and takes over. So there's not as much complexity as, I would hope for 100 proof, $60 rye whiskey. So I'm a 7 on that. The cigar, 7.5 on the cigar. I had some construction issues early on. Those have kind of evened out.
It's not a happy man.
But it's
Talk about
but
something else going on here.
but no, just like the the amount of effort that I was pulling through the cigar, and how many puffs I'd have to take in order to really get some good smoke on it. I still didn't think I was getting enough for a Cohiba.
Do you want some of my smoke?
No. How would no?
Look at the burn line on mine.
Yours is fantastic.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
It really is.
we've had that happen before.
Yes.
I have a dead bird inside of mine. A small dead bird.
Bug
Yeah,
crawled out at one
yeah.
point.
Yours is. I mean, and Steve, you had mentioned that this has some Honduran tobacco in it, and as I was getting through the cigar, I could get that from that Yamashan region, kind of that drier type of flavor profile. And if I'm going to smoke a cigar with tobacco from that region, like I'd rather smoke an Aroa.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay.
Pairing, I'm going to do 7 on the pairing. I think it's very beneficial one way and not great the other way. I know you were on the other side of me on that one, but cigar to whiskey brings out a lot of the sweetness and makes that sweetness kind of linger a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But going whiskey to cigar, that spice just kind of lights up your palate. And it's a little overwhelming.
Gotcha. For me,
Tans. Nothing but tans.
Tinian. Looking tin.
Uncle Nearest Rye. It seems to be not a favorite. This is not. It doesn't sound like for you guys a repeat buy.
We'll get through it.
It's drinkable. Why don't you pour me a little bit more, too, bartender? I like the bottle. This is not my favorite. I'm going to give it a 7. I think that this is so. Everyone's bringing up price. That's normally my job here on the show, but I think the price $60 anymore for someone that is sourcing all this, you're gonna get that price point.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were to guess, when you look at it, if you want to focus on price with something like this, and all their bottles came in at like $50+ right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
They have the story. They're investing in this company. It's a startup, not too old. It's winning awards, but not to say to discredit that.
Story helps.
A lot of companies are winning awards. They give out a lot of awards in this industry. And I'm not trying to downplay that. I think it's fantastic. But I like some of the bourbons I've had from them. I like this bottle okay, but I would not necessarily make sure I have this restocked on my bar. I like the story. I look at it too. If you're going to be to the point of the presentation here and you're hiring an actor, I don't know what but you have all this stuff. It's going to bring cost.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that comes across in value, but these two industries, more often than not, the cost doesn't bring the value. It really doesn't. Yeah, I can't, like you were talking about when I mentioned the Bardstown thing, Nate, and you're like, oh, it's a good bottle. Well, it's like, there's a lot of cigars that are $20, $30, $40. And it's like, that's, I don't know if that is a perceived value, when we try to quantify the fact that it's like, I've got a, say, $50 bottle or something from someone. It's like, and then there's 100, like 3 times the price as that Bardstown that we're looking at.
Yeah.
You can't,
mean
is it
3
3 times as good?
Yeah.
No, it's not. I don't think it's quantified like that. So a 7 on this bottle. I enjoy it. I think it's a nice, unique flavor profile. And it has transitioned a bit from my initial, where it was going quickly to the finish with the spice on the end. Now I'm getting more of a untraditional sweetness from a rye bottle. That's 100% rye. So yeah, there's that. The cigar, I like this cigar. But again, not to compare it to the rest of their portfolio, because I made a mention of that earlier, that you're not going to like all Cohibas anymore because there's such a wide variety. I appreciate the uniqueness of the cigar. I'd give it an 8. I don't think this is Sean's best work. I understand why they did it. I think with the box press and trying to hit a different market there, it sells fairly well. But I think that, dude, it's hard to put on a blend of tobacco a name brand like Cohiba. That's a very big undertaking, in my opinion. When you
Has
take
the cigar been selling?
it sells. Yeah, it sells okay.
Okay, good.
It sells okay. There's a lot of curiosity but we've had a few people coming back for it. I think my point is with Cohiba, you want it to be when you see that iconic name on there, whether you're the type of person, well, I don't smoke them because they're not Cubans, or the people that like, I like Cohibas because it's a name recognition thing. To add to that portfolio, everyone expects you to put out a 10 out of 10 cigar, and understandably so, because like everyone in here's, like I said, it's normally my job. Everyone else in here brought up price on this cigar and $20 on it. Well, the Royale we've smoked is another $8.
Yeah,
it's $25 to $30 cigar.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't always talked about as much, I guess. And when that Cohiba Blue came out, and everyone's like, they talk about price because it's so much less expensive. So there's a value there. But some people don't buy that because they're like, oh, that's just a cheap Cohiba. I want a good one. Mm-hmm. So it is very, very tricky, I think, treading that water when you have a brand name on there where people are expecting so much from it.
Yeah,
I would say. But anymore, I will say this coming in at $20, and now you've got a lot of things like compare it to a competitor like a Monte Cristo, where Monte Cristo's now, like, their Robustos are punching at $15 to $17, depending on maybe even more, $18.
What's the white?
The white now Rothschild's $15.
Yeah.
So that's jumped up. So, again, maybe we'll see that in the Cohibas, but that's just the name of the game right now. So a lot of people are now flirting with that. The pairing on this, 7.5, I think it goes fine together. They're both, I think, some bolder flavors, and I don't know if they are meant for each other.
Little water did help open it up a little.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like you were talking about, I think, or hitting on the viscosity there, Nate. But I mean, I've got some crazy legs on the glass. What did we rate the whiskey last time before we round this out?
Last time Steve gave it an 8. Myself, Shannon Chapman, and Sean gave it 8.5.
Interesting.
Wow. And we smoked the AJ Fernandez Viva La Vida with this, and Steve had given that pairing an 8, and then myself, Shannon, and Sean gave that pairing 9s.
Wow. Maybe everyone's got a little something going on. Maybe it's the weather that kind of brings down the ratings sometimes. Seasonal depression. Yeah. Let's go with that. Although we did it in February.
So
it was, I will say, Nate, it
was the day after day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So I think there's a little love in the air. I think people are feeling pretty good about themselves. So I think sometimes that will affect your ratings and how you're perceiving things. Maybe even your taste buds, You don't agree?
I'm keeping my mouth shut here.
Go ahead.
Comment here. Taste buds change after Valentine's Day. That's all I'm saying.
What are you trying to get at?
That's why I didn't want to say anything.
And with that, we're going to round out part 1. We're going to come back part 2. So those on the feed, feel free to throw some comments up there. Nate and I will try to catch as many as we can, but we do have some from the Bourbon and BS community page on Facebook. I put it out there earlier. Some Q&A or some topic suggestions. So we did have a handful of those, and we'll see where this conversation will go from here. But in the meantime, stay tuned on the live feed. If you're listening to the audio, we are caught up on the all the podcasts from last week. Spencer listened to those. I know he listens on the audio. We have a handful of people that only listen to the audio. You can listen to it on Spotify, on the Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, a bunch of others. It's available out there. And it's available on YouTube and Facebook after the fact with the video. So check those out as well. So, guys, happy Whiskey Wednesday. We're almost out of January. We're getting there quickly. It's nice.
I love this glass, by the way.
It's nice.
It's beautiful.
Cheers, guys.
I will say adding a little water to it does open it up a little bit.
Does it?
And
Yeah, that's it.
I love the fact, so this is in between that the energy from like Sean and Nate on this bottle, and then you go back and like they seemed to really like it last time. But I think it's Valentine's Day.
Could be what we ate for dinner tonight.
Could be.
It could be.
Could be.
Could be something you ate. Could be we're just in a really good mood. Shannon were leaving.
Yeah. 2 minutes.
Shannon Chapman, I don't know if you're listening out there, either of you. Good.
I want you to hear this. We got 2 minutes here.
We had bearded Shannon on the panel. Mrs. Shannon was in the audience,
got it.
and then
She came on
for part 2. We rearranged
right.
the table and brought her on.
That's right.
There, Shannon. He just commented.
I don't want the Ravens to win.
I think it's going to be the Ravens and Niners.
What do you got? What do you guys out there? Well, yeah. What are you guys drinking and smoking tonight? Yeah, the Super Bowl logo already predicted who was going to be in it.
Who was it?
San Francisco and Baltimore.
I mean, on paper, that's who it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, for
because
sure.
the last 2 years in a row, the logo was the colors of the two teams that made it to the Super Bowl, and that's released weeks before that ever happens. Mm-hmm. Remember, it's an entertainment business, so they are allowed to fix the games. That's right.
That's right. Once again, going to these. Oh, Harbaugh, Dan Jarvis out there. What's up, Dan? Harbaugh year. He's gone, man. Dan's a big Michigan fan, so I don't know. Did you, Dan? Did you hear the news?
Harbaugh just went to the Chargers.
That's right.
Well, no, I think he's saying, Jim won the college football, and then his brother's gonna possibly win the NFL championship.
Oh, got it. All right. It's a good possibility. He says, "Go Bolts." Now he's a Chargers fan. Nice. I mean, Harbaugh used to play for the Bears. I mean, you can.
He also
root
played for the Chargers.
I know,
which is kind of funny because he played at Michigan, then played for the Chargers, and then he coached at Michigan, and now he's coaching for the Chargers.
I don't know. No offense, Dan Jarvis. I'm happy that Harbaugh did not go to the Bears because that was all the rumors before that. Now all the rumors are that Caleb Williams is going to the Bears, and I don't want that either. USC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he just went over there 2 years ago.
Who? Caleb Williams? The quarterback?
Yeah, because his coach became the head coach at USC. That's why he went.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else have any comments? We're going to get started here as soon as.
Justin, thank you for being honest, and you're not drinking and driving. Appreciate that.
It says he's smoking a Cohiba Riviera. What do you think, Justin? I don't know if he's commented. I missed that.
I don't think he commented on it.
Mm-hmm.
Although CAO 554 painted stave out of Delaware, says Shannon Chapman.
Yeah, this bottle is. I think it's good. It's not great. That's for sure.
Yeah, but and Ray caught on to it. My point was when Sean, he's like, yeah, it's okay. I'll give it an 8. It's kind of It's like, I don't know, like 8's solid. 8's a solid buy. A little. I mean, that's above average. And he's like,
Yeah, Justin, we are smoking the Cohiba Riviera. Yes. Spencer's socializing inside, so
with Tony, you think?
Probably with Kristen.
Oh, yeah. They're probably comparing wine notes.
Dogs, nuts.
Did he get you?
We're just waiting on you. No big deal.
Move with a purpose. No.
What a day. What a day.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 302, and this is part 2. This is where we kind of do the life topics. Tonight we're going to do the Q&A with the community. We had some people on the Bourbon and BS community page posted earlier. What do you guys want to talk about for suggestions as far as for part 2 topics? and also just Q&A if you got some questions. So we have a few so far. If you guys are listening live, go ahead, especially on the Facebook feed, go ahead and throw up your questions. We'll try to catch some of them. But I do want to remind everyone, thank you very much for the patreon.com/bourbon&bs podcast contributions every month, and also Venmo at Bourbon and BS. We appreciate that support. It helps us do this and keep this thing going. Also want to thank Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. We're smoking still smoking, I think everyone, right? The Cohiba Riviera. Listen to part 1 of episode 302 to get our comments on that and thoughts on that and a little bit more information about that blend from Cohiba. And they do carry that at Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, so they can definitely ship you some Cohiba products as well as a variety, about 500-600 different cigars there to choose from at Tinder Box at Easton. Also want to remind everyone that on March 16th, the 11th Smoking 10 event is going to be happening. March 16th is Saturday in Columbus, Ohio, right behind the Tinder Box at Easton. Collaborated with Fado Irish Pub and Restaurant right next door. They do the bar service and as well as the off-menu brunch and lunch for that. But you're going to have at least 14 cigars that are going to be handed out to you. There's going to be a Q&A with 3 of the, I consider some of the more fun figureheads, cigar company manufacturers. We got Eric Espinosa coming back to the tent. We've got Rocky Patel coming for the first time. And we have Ricky Rodriguez with West Tampa now coming back for the second time as West Tampa, which is his company. And it's his, I don't know how many times, 8 when he was with CAO included.
I'm excited to have Rocky there because, for the last Rocky Patel.
Rocky himself.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, Nish always had a blast. He was cool to hang out with when he was there too.
Yeah.
But like over the last 7-8 years, I don't know if there's been anyone fighting for cigar rights at a federal level more than Rocky.
Me and Rocky have been fighting the fight.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
No, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to touch on that too, because he does have a different background as anyone else in the industry.
Which that was a great episode when we had him on, talk about his story and that crazy trip to Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Someone lost an ear.
Which he first told me about when we were at a bar. So that's why I was happy to have him on the show. I brought that up. But no, it was fantastic. I also want to thank Altadis USA. They will be at the 10 event. But anyways, before I go on, the Smoking 10 event, the tickets are on sale now. Contact Tinder Box at Easton. You can stop by or you can call. And it is on Saturday, March 16th, 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. I encourage everyone to get there as early as you can to enjoy and capitalize on all the time in the tent during that time and get both meals, get to the sales table as quickly as you can because there's going to be phenomenal deals from all 14-ish companies. So,
it's always a great time. A lot of work goes into it. I think we can go back to calling it the annual.
Let's hope. He's done 2 in a row now. 3 in a row now.
Yes.
22, 23, 24.
Yep.
Nice. But Altadis USA, we've got to switch gears big time here.
Oh, yeah.
The Connecticut, Nicaragua from Romeo Julieta from Altadis. Thank you very much for the continued support to them. And also, BS Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. The gold is made by Plasencia, and the silver is made by Espinosa Cigars. And like I said, talking to Espinosa, I'm looking forward to having him back in the tent on March 16th.
Guy?
No Guy Fieri.
There's a Flavortown open up.
There is a Flavortown Festival coming June 1st and 2nd as well, that there may be some cigars going on there as well. We're not sure what the details are of that, but Guy Fieri has teamed up with Eric Espinosa with the Knuckle Sandwich brand, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see some Knuckle Sandwich cigars showing them their faces over at the old Flavortown Festival, but I don't know for sure. So we shall see. Stay tuned for more details on that. A lot of excitement going on.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
2024, dude.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. What else? Oh, yeah. Buyjack.com. Want some cool swag? Buyjack.com/bourbonbs for any of the shirts.
Not Spencer.
Hoodies. He's got it with him. That's the sleeve. That's
They know what it is. Bro.
Always.
I'll just carry black.
always a tease. And also, guys, please share, like, comment, review, and subscribe on all the formats you enjoy listening to the show, and tell your friends. All right, going back. Q&A with the community. Spencer, how are you, by the way? How are
Is
things?
that a question from the community?
I'm part of the
Yeah,
community.
exactly.
So I'm a little disappointed in our friend to the left of me. Last time we were here,
Over there.
yeah,
Nate.
it was right before Nate's birthday, right?
Yep.
And we
Yes.
said, let's get together for an Irish toast at 7 p.m., which I've told more people about that. And everyone was like, so that means you get to start New Year's early? And not everyone's making it to midnight these days. So
No.
having a toast at 7. Nate
Nice.
had a wonderful dinner, from what I understand, with his lovely wife. They did come over and meet us at Fido for the toast.
It was after.
After
It was, yeah, I got there like 30 minutes after.
we were at Fido for the toast and you came to meet us.
Yeah, sorry, I was having birthday dinner with my wife. I apologize.
You don't need to
Yeah,
apologize.
I would say I'll accept it.
I'm not happy about it.
Steve, do you remember what we discussed at the last podcast with Nate with
No,
turning
I do.
40?
I remember.
Hold on, buddy. You
I
had
do.
me
And I
figured.
was really looking forward to it.
What did we discuss?
Getting together, having a guy's night to celebrate his birthday, maybe some steak dinners.
Yeah. And Nate, you said I will find some dates that work best for you.
Well, I was also
Reluctantly, he said
It
that.
wasn't just that. It was also about like I didn't want to do like just going out to dinner. Like I wanted to do something else, but all the things I kept
Very attainable. Very attainable.
everything else that I kept coming up with, the places on Sunday, because Sundays are the days that would work best
Okay.
for me. The places would all close by the time we'd be able to all get out there. So
Wah wah. So we have still not planned a dinner or
No.
an event.
Is it-
Whatever you want. You want to go karts? We'll go
I mean, is it just going to be the three of us?
It's your birthday, bro. You can invite whoever you'd like to invite.
Sean's in.
Yeah.
I think you overestimate the number of friends I have.
I think I estimated it just fine.
It doesn't need to be a
However
big
many
group.
you
It
want.
doesn't need to be a big group.
Yeah, I'm good with 3 to 30. More than 30 is too many.
Yeah, I think
That's a
30.
big table.
So the deadline was by the end of January, right?
Well,
I don't remember that part, but
I
it was-
do. I do remember.
Was it end of
So
January?
I'm willing to extend it
Wait,
to the end of February
to decide or to do something?
to do something.
Okay. So the 14th, I think, in February is open.
It's
I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I think, I know I don't, but I think the two of you have stuff going on that day, probably.
nothing planned.
There's a
on the
podcast.
calendar.
Oh, wait, is that a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Oh,
favorite-
shit.
My favorite comment was, "What are you guys doing for the 300?" Oh, we're doing podcast.
Yeah.
So, Nate,
Is that your impression?
do you think it's too deep? So I would like you to, because you deserve it, to have a little joy in your life and plan something. Just the time. We'll take care of the place. You just plan the time. That's all you have to do. But besides that, everything's good. Besides this immense disappointment I'm having with your co-host.
I'm used to that. Ray, I'm not paying for your flight from Vietnam to Columbus for my birthday.
I'll cover.
Ray, you cheapskate. You have more money than all of us here.
So I'd like to do something for Nate, but everything else is going great, man. 2024 is going to be a good year, just like we anticipated. Our ladies and ourselves, we're going to the DR here in a couple
Yeah,
months.
it's official with you guys.
So
on
that's
that.
something to
That's
very much
awesome.
look forward to. Work is busy. Weather is 40 degrees warmer today than it was yesterday.
It's amazing.
We were over in Hocking Hills over the weekend, which
Is it the same place? The same cabin?
a different cabin, but similar setup.
Yeah, it looks
If you want to
very
get away
similar.
with a lady, I suggested it's just kind of you and the other person in the wilderness, and I suggest it's just kind of clear your head a little bit.
Nice.
But life is good overall these days.
Nice. I'm happy to hear that. And I am looking forward to so the two of you and the two of us went to Cancun last April, and this is possibly the beginning of a frequent trip. This has been a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to vacation part 2 and
It'll be a good because you ramp up for the tenement. I think it'll be good. You'll be able to come down and have a week to relax a little bit.
I agree completely. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
So all good right now.
And then Nate, you and I are going to a bourbon tasting tomorrow with Bardstown
Mm-hmm.
at your place of work, Carfagnas.
Yeah. Bardstown's going to be there. They they changed presenters because all of a sudden something came up. So instead of the blender or the VP of blending operations being there, we're going to have a lady who actually does more of the actual hands-on blending
Perfect.
How
there.
big is this company?
Well, I mean,
Is it
so
like senior VP of blending. You have.
well, I mean, like Bardstown's fairly new. I mean, they've been around for.
I know, that's why I'm like, this is a big.
I like
corporate.
old Bardstown.
Bardstown's only been around for about 7 or 8 years or so.
Okay.
But in that time, like they bought Green River 2 years ago.
Did they?
Uh-huh.
I did not know that.
Yep, they bought Green River Distillery, which we've had Aaron Harris, the master distiller, on remote. Great campus. Green River's the 10th oldest distillery in Kentucky. Their DSP number is 10.
Owensboro-ish area.
Yeah, and then Bardstown's a little bit away from there, but if you've ever been, like, Bardstown is if you go to a lot of the historical brands and their tours, you know, places that have been around for a while, like Buffalo Trace, Maker's Mark, Woodford, Jim Beam.
Yeah.
Like everything's very old, very rustic, but it has, you know, that old school feel to it.
Yeah.
You go to Bardstown, everything is modern, industrial, brand spanking new, clean. Like it's a completely different experience than going to some of the older brands. But they've been absolutely killing it over the last 7-8 years that they've been around. Last year we had one of the Origin series bottles on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, so they have a bourbon, a bottled and bond bourbon, and a rye. All of them are 6-year, all of them 100% their distillate, which is the first releases from them that have been 100% their distillate.
Well, don't give away too much, because my thought is, at least at this point, next Wednesday is open with guest wise. We should definitely feature something that maybe we'll pick something up tomorrow night from your store and do some Bardstown. We can talk a little bit more about Bardstown, the company in general, and then we can maybe review a bottle, I think, of theirs. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Would you agree? And we talk about what's going on tomorrow night. You know, we'll review it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last Wednesday, there was a big Johnny Walker dinner and tasting at Carfagna's, and that was absolutely lights out. They were literally pairing different Johnny Walker scotches with their own course meal.
Wow, nice. Mike Dieter says he's been on the show, obviously recently. He says he's going to be at the Bardstown Distillery tomorrow morning.
Hey, how about that?
There you go.
Attaboy.
To hear about that as well. All right, you guys.
Fire away.
Like I said, I want to hear from the audience as well, because we've got a few, but I don't have a ton here. We'll start. Let's see. We had Spencer, you were on kind of for the New Year's, right?
New Year, new you.
Yeah. Who was it? Sean that we had on for if this was last year? Who did we have on for that one? That was you, yeah. Yeah, we did one. I don't know. You listened to that one, right? Yeah, that was it. I like that take. But Kristen,
I like when Sean's on it.
Kristen had a different one. She said to kind of branch off that New Year's theme. One thing you want to focus on doing better in 2024 versus 2023.
She probably put focus in all caps.
She did.
Yep.
Yeah. Spelled it right.
Yeah.
This is a little broad, but I feel, being engaged, hopefully getting married later this year, living life more with a purpose. Just in general, I think me personally, I get involved in the day-to-day and try to sell as much stuff as you can, and eat right, and soccer and golf and whatever is going on, but try to live outside of myself and live life with a greater purpose than beyond just myself. So probably that would be my focus.
General, or is there anything that you're like honing in on?
Well, I think now that merging lives with another, with a woman, and just in general, living life in general with more of a purpose outside of just living for myself, which, when you are not married, when you've been married and then not married, you can focus more on yourself due to necessity. and to focus more on living life with a greater purpose than just myself. And I think that's a key to happiness, is just to do stuff for others. And by doing stuff for others, it will selfishly make me happier in general.
Some of the terminology you like to use there, like selfishly make you happier. I mean, I think you don't have to, you didn't say it in a negative way, but you don't have to, because I think it has a connotation of a negative term being selfish. You know, I don't think it's necessarily that. I mean, it's a byproduct of that. There's nothing, I think, wrong with you getting benefit of helping others.
So correct. So my dad does a fair amount of charity work now that he's retired, food banks and things like that. And it's a selfless act, doing stuff for other people, but he gets a lot of purpose and joy by doing stuff for other people. And it's one of the benefits of living life outside of just doing something just for yourself.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's,
I think it's
long-winded answer.
No, it's great. I think it's interesting because, you know, I have some similarities in my past, and Nate, not as much. You know, you've been married for quite some time now, but
you deserve a steak dinner with your friends.
You do. I think, well, what I was going to say is that sometimes, you know, when you are in a relationship with someone else and you're doing well, or in our case, Spencer, we're both divorced and we're in a relationship.
Not to each other.
It was never official.
We never signed the papers.
There's still a spark. You
need to sign the paper.
You ever send them? No, I was going to say is that it's interesting the way you phrased that, because when I was listening to that, it's, you know, you were with someone else and then you were focusing more on yourself, and now it's kind of you're trying to recenter that a little bit, right? But I do think there's so much value, and I'll even kind of bridge that over to what you're trying to say to like Nate about getting together. I think there's some value there that I know that I gained perspective on what I want out of life through some time alone, through, you know, after a divorce or a breakup, being single, there's like a roller coaster of sometimes healing and everything else. But now that, you know, you're you're engaged to Jennifer and 2 years now with Kristen, you look back on some of the times where I was by myself, and I think some of the things that I've been able to, and I think it'd probably be the same for you, Spencer, now coming into this phase in your life, it's through those times where you're focused on yourself that you're able to do that and put your energy towards someone else, because there's not necessarily something where this is all you know. Now there's something where you've had to really build yourself back up, get to know who you are, who you want to be on your own. So then now you can be a partner to someone that before you went through that, you weren't the same person.
Yeah, I was listening to your Figure It Out podcast.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of, all right, now you got to relearn how to do things. You got to relearn how to cook, how to do, you know, you got to relearn to live on. It's kind of you against the world. And one of the advantages of having a partner, Nate, is you have someone to share the responsibility and to also make each other's lives easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying, Nate, like, I mean, all kidding aside, it's like when you're in that grind and your job and everything else, and you have time to yourself, it is sometimes nice to take even more, like physically remove yourself for something like what Spencer's saying, is to have that, you know, guy time or just something different. You know what I mean? Because we're all creatures of habit. We kind of do things, you were saying, like sell all you can and like the job and all this stuff. But when you can get those moments to do something different and maybe change the scenery a little bit, I think it creates a big value to going back to the day-to-day, going back to a steady relationship kind of lifestyle. And I'm not saying go crazy and do like something silly. Siri's even saying it's not nice. But I think it's something that you will bring some sort of a complexity to something that wasn't, maybe, I wouldn't say it was things getting in a rut, but I think it's sometimes through that adversity, it'll bring some benefit to everyone involved.
Agreed.
So Nate, pick a date.
All right.
I did see something that guys do need 1 to 2 nights a week with other guys.
I saw 3.
Did you see 4? To refocus themselves, but just like girls have their girls' night, guys need their guys' night. Just to refocus, and I just have that moment away, that camaraderie that's much needed. Some people have it through sport. You have it through softball, soccer, whatever the case may be at the shop. But that camaraderie with other guys is greatly important.
Yeah. I think there's some time, like just a self-reflection time too. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Having a hobby that, you can build yourself up so you can be a better partner for someone too. There's definitely some value there. What do you think, Nate?
Related to that or to the question?
The question about that.
Well, I was just relating to what Spencer said. But you can go to the question. Go ahead.
I mean, which part of Spencer's do you want me to?
The good part.
Your favorite.
Yeah, we'll pick your favorite line. I said.
If you don't want to comment, that's fine too.
No, I'll work on it because I mean I do agree that it is nice to do something that's a little bit different instead, because you do get caught in those ruts where doing the same thing day in, day out, or the same routine week in, week out, and then all of a sudden you just hit a rut and you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like all of a sudden things become boring, or they start to just wear you down a little bit. And so sometimes doing something a little different that you don't regularly do or normally do, it can be beneficial because it just provides that spark to go into the normal routine, but now with a different mindset and a different energy.
Yes. It's good. Now, how about to the question then?
To the main question. So I'm coming up on a year at my current job, and I'm supposed to have a one-on-one coming up soon. And like part of what I've learned that I need to possibly get better at this next year. Well, one of the things I want to do, and I've mentioned this to my boss in the past, is take on more responsibility. I've started to get some of that, because what I was originally hired on to do versus what I ended up doing kind of changed in a period of a week.
In charge of the deli?
No, that's Aaron.
Great cold cuts.
No, that's Aaron Gardner that's listening. That's his job.
not for long, Aaron.
No, I didn't say that.
Aaron's a good guy.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, he's married into the family. He ain't going anywhere.
And he's good at his job.
He is really good at his job too. So there is that.
Silver spoon over here.
But no, want to take on some more things at work. Because there are times where I'll hear my boss sit there and say, he's got all these different things that he's trying to work on, and he's trying to find multiple people to be able to do different aspects of his job. I think in the past he'd been looking for like one person to be able to come along and be able to do that stuff. And I think now he's like, you know what, maybe since I can't find one person to do it, maybe I just break it up and have multiple people be able to handle those roles.
I like it.
But then also part of it is sticking up for myself a little bit at work. There are some teammates that I have at work that for whatever reason, think I don't matter in the company's.
Really?
Who should I fight?
Shit, man.
There are some people that I work with that do a lot of talking behind my back.
Well, how do you know if they're talking behind your back?
Because they'll
They're not
talk
good at it.
because they'll talk to one of the other coworkers, and then that person will tell me.
Jesus Christ! Drama.
And but like my job is so different than what they do. I don't think that they appreciate what the reason why I was brought on to that department. And so they think like they can just say whatever they want and walk all over me for some reason.
Okay.
I don't fully get why.
So stand up for yourself a little bit and get a little bit more responsibility in 2024.
I mean, and call them out on their bullshit.
Got to do it tactfully.
Yeah, that's a delicate.
I've never been good at tact.
I know.
Well, that's what we're
We
saying.
know you
That's
will.
why we're speaking up.
That's why he's.
That's why we're saying delicate loudly. What else we got here?
Well, I was going to comment.
Go ahead.
I think my biggest thing that I want to focus on is she had said one thing when she commented that, but it was like I was at the gym today and just really catching a good stride again in that part of it.
Legs?
That's included.
Oh.
Don't do that.
Don't lie to me.
No, actually, all of that included is just a lot of things in my life have lined up as we rounded out 2023 going into 2024. It's a nice feeling catching stride in that again. Trying to stay healthy. That's the big thing. I think I did fairly well with that in 2023, but in 2024, I think it's trying to stay healthy and kind of catch that groove between everyday life, socializing, obviously continue to build my relationship with Kristen, and then to stay. And I haven't like had a huge fall off in like the exercise or diet thing, but it's certainly not. I don't want to go back to where I was like super strict with everything because there's too much sacrifice.
Find the
balance. But I mean, it definitely right now it's feeling pretty good on that. And I want to continue through 2024 and see how far I can take it. Not like competing in a show or like getting bigger or anything like that. I just want to feel healthier again. I don't feel unhealthy, but I want to feel a little more healthy and
get the
make sure
biological age down a little bit.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that too. And I think 2024 is going to be a really good year. Really do. A lighter topic here, Justin Turner. He says, of course, this topic won't be for some bit. It'll be a few weeks. But he says, what changes in your life now that football season wraps up?
I won't have to watch it on Sundays working at the Tinder Box.
As always, Nate, with you, you say like I don't watch it, I don't like it, all that stuff. He knows more stats across the league than I do, both college and NFL.
Oh, a degenerate gambler seems to know.
No, he's not. I know.
I don't gamble.
Closet gambler, maybe.
It will be interesting with the gambling, just because everyone's been doing it this year.
Yeah.
My fiance included. Nothing crazy, but it does give us a reason to watch the games. We did watch I'm a Browns fan, and about halfway through the first quarter, she was like, I'm bored. Like, yeah, well, they're not going to win as many games as they did earlier this year. So I don't think much changes when football's over. I just think that when you have a team that you follow every Sunday, it consumes your Sunday mentally, consumes your week. And then somehow we move on, and then there's the draft, and then there's preseason, which I say I don't.
We'll be watching the draft in El Carmen.
Wow. Okay. Caleb Williams.
To the Browns.
I'd love that. I would love that.
I don't think you have the payroll.
You still got $230 million you're paying.
So for me, it's not a personality trait. I think for a lot of people, it's the it's the fantasy, it's the gambling, it's the team. But for me personally, it's not going to greatly affect my day-to-day Sundays. But it was a fun year football wise, and I'm looking forward to the next. I mean, this Sunday should be a good game, and then 2 good games, and then the Super Bowl is going to be fun. But it's a little depressing thing there's only 3 games left. So I hear where that guy's coming from for sure. Yeah,
for me, especially NFL. I'm not as big into college. I mean, I enjoy it, but NFL for sure. Big Bears fan. It's actually how I even met Kristen, watching NFL Sunday football.
I was there.
Yeah. And
you were the wingman.
It's something. It's something that's we enjoy doing Sundays, especially. It's something simple. It's a distraction. It's entertainment. It's something that we enjoy doing. Um, not having any kids. It's something that we can on a Sunday if we want to go watch some NFL games and we're both off work, and it's something we can do. And a lot of the nice thing about the fall and getting into the winter is that there's not like yard work to do. There's not a whole, you know what I mean? It's something fun to do, and we allow ourselves to enjoy that time. When the season's over, like we're going to host a Super Bowl party here again, which is a lot of fun. We do the projector out here, smoke cigars, at the game on inside, typical appetizers and drinks and stuff like that. It's usually a good time. So once Sundays are free, you got to use to be more productive. Justin, you're asking that, and we are all, well, Nate is not a self-proclaimed football fan, but he knows a lot more than I do about who's
Justin
playing.
A fan of a certain team?
I don't know. Justin's listening tonight. Justin, who's your team? But yeah, for me, once it's over, you find something to entertain yourself. It's nice to get outside this time of the year, especially as the season's coming to an end. Especially if your team has something to play for.
Draft picks.
For you, it was the playoffs somehow, and it's fun to do, and it's fun to have that distraction. I think of every town or city's got a different sport that they get behind. Every country typically has a different sport they get behind, and it's something that brings people together, and it's a lot of fun, and it is purely entertainment. You take it too far, and that's your identity. That's one thing, but it's nice to have that, and I feel very lucky that we live in a country that you can enjoy it. It's a good distraction from what's going on. That was one of my big things with NFL and other sports. During the last several years, it became all the political and the social movements and stuff were bleeding over to my entertainment, which is supposed to be some sort of a mindless entertainment type thing to distract you from the craziness of the world around you. And all of a sudden, it's like you turn on your favorite team, you're watching a game, no matter what the sport is, and now all of a sudden you were inundated with everything that you're trying to get distracted from. And I had a problem with that because that's not I get it with having a platform, but I didn't enjoy it because it's like I want to watch this to get away from everything.
They've gone away from it over the past.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're back in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think the NFL was actually surprisingly one of the lighter ones because they were actually dabbling a lot of those social issues before all like 2020 and everything else. So that's my take. Nate, do you want to comment on that, even though you say you're not a big football fan other than you have to watch on Sundays?
I mean, part of what gets me on Sundays. So Sundays I work at the Tinder Box. And Todd that I work with, he's a big Steelers fan, loves watching football. But then there's also a particular regular that comes into the shop, and all that person talks about is sports betting. And it's insane, and it's very tiring very quickly. There was
probably pretty tiring for him too.
This is a dude that had retired, and now he's got to go back to full-time work.
Easy.
He ain't listening.
Settle down.
But there was one Sunday where that guy came in like right at 11 o'clock, and immediately him and Todd started talking about sports betting and going back and forth, and just neither one of them would stop talking until one of them went to the bathroom. And I was sitting in one of the chairs at the shop. That person goes to the bathroom. I take a draw from the cigar and just kind of tilt my head back, and there's this big sigh and exhale. And that person, when they left, I then went to Todd and I was like, do you realize that when they were in the bathroom, that was the only 30 seconds of consecutive silence where neither one of you were talking? Like it was just making me anxious because all it was
really
just
got on her skin.
Oh yeah.
So you're looking forward to the end of football season?
Please, dear God. I don't care
Well,
about that either. But no, it's one thing to watch the games, but to sit there and just listen to hours and hours of commentary and fantasy football stats and predictions and sports betting. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. It's just exhausting to have to listen to.
Yeah.
So Nate, I'm looking at February 4th. There's no football.
Oh, off week before the Super Bowl.
Off week before the Super Bowl.
We can see if there's any like Canadian football on.
There might be Canadian football.
We can
I'm
check
sure
that
the Blue
out.
Jacks have a nooner.
Yeah, but they'll lose that game. So,
Man, it's barrels of sunshine over here. Jesus
Man,
Christ.
he's a little football. It's
We could just like go throw kittens off like a cliff if you want. Like, does that sound?
Can't wrangle them all at the same time.
throw pedophiles off a cliff.
Wow. Nate, do you want to talk about something?
No,
back here? Like,
no, I'm
Did you
good.
eat dinner?
Let's
I did.
shut the cameras off. That's not recorded anymore. Let's talk here,
I
man.
remember my first Uncle Nearest.
What's that light mean? What's that light mean? No, that's not. The green light means it's not recording.
I was having a conversation
Just
with Jennifer the other day, and I was just in grumpy mood, and I was saying I don't actually want to change anything. I just want to complain about it. I feel-
Are you saying?
Yeah.
This is where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, this is a fun one. We've had this conversation, I think, before.
6 inches
6 feet of separation.
around.
Oh, Justin said he commented on his teams.
He's a Georgia and Bears fan.
Oh. Pleasure and pain. Good for you.
Said Bears, right?
Pleasure and pain.
I like that. Bear down.
Yeah, you must like Justin Fields.
Austin says, take the trip or save the money.
Take the trip, bro. Take the trip. No doubt in my mind that you will regret not taking the trip. I'm a big believer in experiences versus material stuff, like material stuff as well. But
Like
take the
money.
trip.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know when, not that when the last trip's going to be, but take the trip, do it. You will be happy that you took the trip.
Nate, didn't you have a trip coming up?
Yeah, end of April,
End of April. Where are we going?
Lexington.
When is that, by the way?
The last weekend of April.
Okay, cool.
So yes, Friday, Sunday. I'm going to need coverage.
When are we going?
Not that. What are you doing in Lexington?
Going-
Horse show?
Horse show. Yep.
Horse show, baby.
It's been about 5 years, I think, since we went down there. Nice
That
job,
was last
Spencer,
week in
missing the ashtray entirely. Yeah, it's been about 5 years since we went down there for the horse show.
When was the last time you took a vacation?
2021 when Jess and I went to Nashville.
Okay.
That was a couple months before you and Kristen went to Nashville, I think.
And so we went to Louisville before that.
Yeah, you and I went to Louisville in
Late 2020.
it was April or May of 2021, and then in November is when Jess
Okay,
and I went
got
to
it.
Nashville.
I got it. Okay. So what's your take here?
Take the trip or save the money.
This is tough on
For
that.
this one, I mean, take the trip. In 2020, because of the way things were going and losing my stepfather, Jess had wanted to take a trip that year, and she had wanted to go someplace out west. I wanted to go to a place that had more cigar shops in town, so she was looking at Wyoming. I was looking at Miami.
I feel like I've heard this story before.
Yeah, that's why I said we've talked about this.
Yeah. But at the time we were looking at doing that, that was that time in, mid 2020 where we didn't know how long shit was going to last.
2 weeks, I heard.
Yeah.
Right? From
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Flatten the curve.
Yeah. In March. Fuck
Mhm.
off.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we'd want to take that trip. Obviously everything was still,
Switch whiskeys for this guy.
most of the country was still shut down. So
Yeah.
we couldn't really do anything. And, just kind of lost sight of doing trips and stuff. So the 2021 in November when we went to Nashville, that was the first trip in a while that her and I had taken, and probably the last vacation that we had been on.
So going forward, would you like to do additional trips?
I mean, it depends. I'm not not the biggest travel person. Like, I like taking time off, but
Staycation.
yes, and the reason is I find a lot of times when people take and this, not everyone obviously, but there are a lot of people that when they take a quote unquote vacation, they come back more exhausted than when they went on the vacation.
Why do you think that is?
Because
Yeah.
Why
because-
do you think that is? No, I'm gonna let's talk
because
this through
they're
here.
because like, and it depends. I think it depends on the type of vacation you take.
Okay.
There are some people, they go to another country or go somewhere else in the U.S. and every day is filled with doing something. Like they
Yeah.
almost have an itinerary. We're going to go here on this day, and then
Okay.
we're going to here on this day, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do, and all it is it's a busy day, just not at work, and that's all it is. They spend the entire vacation busy doing things that are fun, things that they get enjoyment out of, sure, but
Breeze over that part. Go on.
they don't.
If you like that sort of thing.
But they don't relax. Like they're taking time off of work, but they're just filling that time with more activities, and they don't necessarily take as much time to relax and decompress and re-energize.
You can do both, though.
You can.
That's the thing about it. So Austin's original comment was take the trip or save the money. So you don't. Okay, so I get what you're saying. People are exhausted, having a good time, typically. And if you do go on a vacation and you have an itinerary and that's not your thing, like, yeah, you may not enjoy the vacation, so don't do that again. But so your whole thing would be a staycation where you just you veg out.
I mean, you can still do things throughout the week, but I mean, I've had some trips where, all right, we get up in the morning, we go to this place, and then in the afternoon we go to this
No, I
place,
understand.
and
You don't
the
like doing
evening
this. I that's clear to me and everyone listening that is not what you want to do. Is have an itinerary like you have to do
What would
something.
you like to do besides a cigar shop if you were on a vacation? Or is it?
And is it
you'd rather
because you want to save
or
the
you'd
money?
rather save the money.
And if you're saving the money for what?
I mean, I think saving the money depends on where you're at. For us, it would be, saving the money for a house down the line. But I mean, I think it depends. I mean,
Okay.
For me,
I'm looking forward to going back to Lexington for the horse show this year because we're going to do things differently than in the years past when we had gone.
more downtime.
Well, so instead of getting tickets where we just go into the grandstands, we're going to be in the hospitality tents.
I remember you saying that. That's cool.
So hospitality tents. So we're going to have closer parking, but then food and drinks are all provided, and it's shaded and air conditioned, which is
Important to you.
well, I'm not the only one.
Don't deflect. Just is it important to you? Yeah.
Well, so when Jess had
I
mentioned
don't think.
doing
Where is this at?
Lexington,
How hot is it in April?
well, there was one year where it was upper 80s,
Okay.
and the grandstands just part of it shaded.
Did you have a good time when we went to Louisville?
Yes.
Why?
You, me, another podcast. I mean, it was more hanging out with friends. We went to a distillery. We went to some great restaurants, and it was, you and I had joked about it. It's funny, like almost every day we were down there, we ended up at a Mexican restaurant when we're in Louisville, Kentucky,
But
drinking tequila instead of bourbon.
But you had a good time,
Yeah, it was a great trip.
and we were doing something most of the time.
Yes, but it was something like, doing the distilleries and stuff like that. Like, that was something that everyone who was on that trip had a passion about.
Sure.
From a hobby side.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of made that trip fun. Is yes, we were doing stuff, but it was stuff that we were passionate about. There's the pictures, you and I sitting on the front porch, smoking cigars, having coffee in the morning. I brought my own coffee and French press down.
I know you did.
I watered the mint plants.
I remember.
And then sitting on the back patio and, killing a bottle of bourbon a night.
See how happy he looks right now?
I don't understand what the problem is.
I don't either. He's
What's
going
the-
on the
what-
wrong. He's
yeah,
gone
what's
on
the
the wrong
problem?
vacations.
Yeah,
That's the
it's
problem.
Your vacation. You can do whatever the hell you want.
That's
Enjoy
the point.
vacation.
That's so I'll go with that. And I know what that's kind of what I was trying to get at is that, you're saying what other people are doing on vacation. And that's like, these are the negatives. And it's like, for you, it is. But the question is, take the trip or save the money. I think if you go, into some financial trouble because all you do is travel and you're constantly on the go and you're just racking up credit, debt and that's a problem, right? That's not even saving the money. That's just like
Spending the money.
You're just spending money you don't have or will ever have. And that's one thing. But, I think I enjoy vacations. I have always, but I've gotten in those ruts where I didn't because I didn't have the money. So to Austin's point, it's like, take the trip or save the money. It's like, no, I would love to do a lot more vacations or do something new, or, I do like, Spencer and I and the ladies are going on another all-inclusive. Love doing that. And I did a couple of those on my own with groups of friends. And I did debate because it was like, do I want to spend this, $1,000, $2,000 on a vacation? Do I have that money to spend? But those memories I have from those trips are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they are my types of vacations. It's like, like Ray was saying, never go back to somewhere. It's like my big thing, like, because I do like doing the all-inclusive resorts. Don't necessarily go back to one unless you had a great time. Like Kristen and I are looking at going back to the same resort next October that we went to in this October. We had such a great time. And the only hesitation with that is I hope it's not a letdown after the first time we were there. And I don't think it will be. I'm saying that I've kind of narrowed it down. I'm open to new experiences. But when someone says, hey, we're going to go backpacking through the mountains and all this stuff, I'm going to probably have a great time doing that. But if that costs the same as doing something like an all-inclusive, like on a beach resort, that's what I know I like. And I want to do it again. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking some like in less than 2 weeks, taking a trip out to Arizona to see Kristen's parents where they live. It's like all of these things are things that you want to do to Spencer's point, I think, to have a good time and enjoy the experiences. Worst case scenario, you didn't have a good time or something happened and you
Still
just
get some good stories out.
You should have some good stories. And that's where I brought up like the Louisville trip. It's like, I thought you had a good time, but when I hear you talk about like taking time off or taking a vacation, this is the, and it's like, but you just do what you want to do. But
Well,
that's where
also,
it's like, I'm not an itinerary person. It's funny because we joke about like the trip that Spencer and I are going to be taking. One of the big things about it, like for Kristen, for example, she is an itinerary and a planner type person. She enjoys it because you can't, like at the resort we're going to, you can't even really make reservations at the restaurant. Like you have to just go. Like we just decide like, hey, on Thursday night, let's check out this restaurant. And then we just go. No, this is in DR, not Mexico.
yes. Steve has enough Chipotle here.
No, I guess my point is that you can do both. Don't go crazy in debt with it, but don't go through your entire life just saving money because that's that age-old thing. It's like saving it for what? You know what I mean? Like you brought up someone, from a regular at the shop where it's like he kind of retired, but then it's like he didn't have enough saved up to what if he lived for 20 more years? You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're doing these benchmark things.
What if you die tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. I was watching last night, and I don't know if anyone else has seen it, but it's you saw the feed? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, mine's freezing up. It's on Netflix. It was like a Bob Saget tribute. Do you see that?
I saw that last year, a couple years ago.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was great.
I got halfway through it, but you watch this stuff, and it's like it's one of those things, not to get too morbid, but it's like all these people talking so many good things. And I've been to funerals and everything like that, but it's like everyone's talking all these things. And if he was here, we do this. And it's like
celebration of life.
It's a celebration of life. And it's one of those things that it would be nice that you experience some of those things with friends and family and all these good memories with people while you're still around. Because if all you do is you're saving, you don't take the trip, you don't try something, you don't do this. It's like, for what? so you can save a few bucks.
I got it. I think we got it.
You're done talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Spencer.
Yeah.
Am I taking you down to getting emotional?
No,
You sure?
I think he gets the point. I get the point. We get the point. We answered the question.
Wow.
Next.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I don't know what the next question is.
What do you want to talk about?
Life advice.
Thought that's what we were just doing.
Isn't that part 2?
Thought that's what we were just doing. Let's see here. Nate, you had one from Ann Dimmick.
No. Save that for when Ann and Martin Kennedy are on.
All right. What do you guys want to talk about then?
Well, because Ann had commented like, "Hey, we have to have something to talk about when she's on," because she mentioned that one in a comment last week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I had that noted.
I don't have much more, guys.
Sean had one. Sean Anderson.
Okay.
How do you learn to treat triumph and disaster the same?
It's like, so theoretically not having too many highs or too many lows. I don't think you can treat them the same. I think that the point is to never get too high or too low if you can. You're no smarter if you have big wins, and you're no dumber if you have big losses. It's just try to take them both in stride. I think it's probably, if you have a great week at work, if you have a bad week at work, try not to get too high or too low in general. But it's tough. I mean, you go to, we've mentioned the thing, if you go to a restaurant, right, and you have a bad meal, you tell 10 people.
Yeah.
You have a good meal, you tell 3 people. So try not to let the disasters or the failures take up more energy than the wins. It's difficult to do.
I don't think you do. I don't think you treat triumph and disaster the same. Knowing Sean and especially some of his comments, and Sean, love you to death. But it's you have a guy that even on the good things, it seems a lot of times. I know he enjoys life. Don't get me wrong, right? But it's a lot of times when you're like, "Hey, man, great job," he's like, "Yeah, it's just another thing," and and then it's almost like it spins to a bad light, and it's like you can't be numb to both. I don't think I know what you're saying. Take each of them in stride. I don't say you dwell on or celebrate for a long time, but your triumphs you should celebrate.
Celebrate the wins.
Celebrate the wins, much like we're talking about with like the vacation stuff. Like enjoy life. When things are going well, enjoy it. When it's disaster, or you have a failure, I think you should give it the same respect emotionally as you do with the triumphs. So don't just breeze by it, not learn your lessons, and be numb to both disaster and triumph, because then you're back in some sort of a rut in life. And what are we doing here? If you don't allow yourself to be emotional one way or another,
you're not feeling life.
It's like, okay, like then just go to work, go home, go to sleep, go to work, go home, go to sleep, or just
exist,
or don't do either and be homeless. Like I don't know where you go. There's no middle ground there of that. You should absolutely enjoy the things that are wins. You have someone in your life that you love, go all in. Don't just that's a triumph. If you have a job or you get that promotion, enjoy it and then use that energy to continue to succeed, whether it be at work, in a relationship, with your own self. Like do that, because I think if you're just you treat triumph and disaster, I think the only thing that I'd say the same would be, honestly, is to not let either one consume you. That's treating them the same. But I would say they're not the same. I think you should enjoy the triumphs or victories or the wins, as Spencer said. You enjoy that to a point where it affects you with that positive momentum.
Make the triumphs last, and then when you go through those failures, find a way to get back to the triumph quickly.
Yeah, bounce back.
I think life in general kind of goes like cards, right? You ever at a blackjack table, you go on a run and everything's going good. I think it's the same way, you get a ton of bad cards. I think life kind of goes that way, where you have a bunch of wins in a row and know when you're high, and then also when you're in the ruts and you're in the lows, realize that you're in the lows and try to just know that you're in it and try to get out of it.
Absolutely.
But life definitely goes up and down.
I want to comment real quick. Sorry, Spencer, to go back to the
Sure.
vacation thing,
Sure.
but you know, Ray was saying, I just, you know, he was responding about the all inclusive. He doesn't get it. You know, seems like the lazy option. And what are you ever going to experience about the country if you go to it by just sitting at a resort all the time? And to the point of what I was saying to Nate and to Ray as well, no, it's take the vacation you want. Okay, so
some
that
people
is
want the touristy thing or just want to experience everything in the country, and some people want to
no.
rejuvenate.
You know why?
Pool,
why
pool and margaritas.
What? No. Why I'm going on a vacation?
Miami Vices
is to enjoy a beautiful time with my girlfriend, and in this case, with some close friends, and we can do it, you know, on my back patio, or I can do it on a beach with drinks being provided for us, and we live like royalty for a week or whatever, and it's absolute blast. It's not about like, yes, I can go into town in Punta Cana, I can go into Cancun. I enjoy the beach. I like the setting, I like the atmosphere, and it is something refreshing for me, and I enjoy the people I'm with. That's why I'm going on vacation. I'm not doing it to go there by myself. I'm going there to enjoy the people I'm going there with, and I think that's something to what I was saying earlier, is that you say, you know, it's lazy, whatever it is. It
can be
okay.
Different strokes.
If you want to go build houses, you know, for Habitat for Humanity or somewhere in a different country, then that's your vacation. That's great. I don't think I would probably enjoy that too, but I also enjoy like being with my loved ones and doing something that I enjoy. I don't know.
Different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, I guess. I'm trying to look at Sean Anderson's comment here. Let me put that up on here. This is his comment to his triumphs and disasters. Well, the goal I'm trying to get to is just taking a small amount of time to study them so I learn from both. But generally, triumphs and disasters don't make up the bulk of life. The bulk of it is mundane, and really you need to learn to let all those things happen the same. It's kind of what I was saying, knowing Sean Anderson, is that's kind of what I would expect.
I think that's a pleasant way to look at it, because, you know, a lot of days are just Tuesday, you know, random Tuesday night, and you're just hanging out and watching Netflix or doing whatever you're doing. And that is what a lot of life is. But to I think experience all the emotions of life, you do have the amazing triumphs, and you got the terrible failures. And without the terrible failures or disasters, they do make the triumphs better. And then you do appreciate the mundane. Like, man, it's just everything's kind of calm right now, and there are no disasters, and to just enjoy the calm while it's there, because once you think everything's going smooth, shit's going to happen, good or bad, and just try to roll with it to try to get back to the mundane if you can.
Well, I'll tell you this, on that note, I've done life. I've done sitting on a Tuesday night or whatever it is, watching Netflix. I've done it by myself, being single, and I've done it in relationships. I've done it with my current life. And no, I disagree with what you guys are saying. I think that it's not mundane. I think that you make the best of it. And I think that you have to look at, when maybe we're calling triumphs and disasters differently, but I think the frame of mind that you have, if you are living in a positive, like you're enjoying your life, then it's not just mundane. It's not just like, oh, I had some good things. No, you're in a good place because you had the triumphs. That's what you're celebrating. I look at it.
You can enjoy the mundane because of some of the successes that you've had.
Mundane, using that terminology, I'd say everyday life. Yeah, everyday life. You know, coming home to someone that you love, coming like that, you know, I get to do now, you know, having a roof over my head and doing all those things that some people call mundane. That's a bigger issue altogether that we're not addressing here.
Coming home and having peace in the house.
For me, that's great.
Yeah, that's
but me coming home when things weren't good and sitting down and all I had to do was have a smoke or have a glass of whiskey while I watched Netflix by myself, and not like that disaster part or whatever, or just being, that was what I was saying earlier, as of building yourself up on your own. But I look at this as different. I think that the bulk of it is mundane, and really you need to learn to let all those things happen the same. I disagree completely. You're just wasting time on this earth. That's not, I don't think there's that's what I was saying. The emotional side of it should be good, because if you have something good going, that is your triumph. That is something that's positive in your life, and you should have at least a little bit of self-appreciation to understand what's going on. That's taking things for granted. That's what I read that as. That's taking things for granted when things are good. Personally.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nate?
Oh, I was responding to some other comments. But
no thoughts on that?
I think sometimes we look at the mundane as a bad thing as well. And when you do that, then all you have to look forward to are those triumphs. But then that makes up such a small portion of your livelihood that I think there are some people that when good things happen to them, they know it's fleeting and they're going to go right. They're going to go. I'm not saying me.
I'm letting him talk. I mean, I don't need a narrator. I'm saying this is like this. It's like what, like,
no,
they're fleeting. It's
I'm
like
addressing,
take it the
I'm
same. Like what? Like
no, I'm trying
like,
to
where's
address
the positivity in life, boys? Where are we at here?
I'm trying to
seriously.
I'm trying to address what I think Sean's.
No, what do you think about it? Not what he's thinking. That's what I'm saying. Like there's like the positivity here, guys. Like it's just like it's life. What are we doing?
I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the mundane. Like if the mundane is all right, my everyday life. All right, I go to work, I do something I enjoy, and I go home to someone who loves me. Like, what's wrong with that? That's my day-to-day life. But where's the problem in that?
Is there enjoyment in it?
There should be. Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
good.
Yeah. I mean,
so I do think that there is nothing wrong with what Nate's saying, but I do think that you need stuff to look forward to, right?
Sure.
So to keep, if anyone's ever had grandparents and things like that, you know, when they're at the end of their time or just in their later years, they need stuff. They need events to look forward to. They need stuff to look forward to. So Nate, you're looking forward to Lexington. You're looking, you know, we're looking forward to a trip. You know, you're looking forward to X. I think you need stuff to look forward to, tangible, either activities, goals, life events that keep you progressing through life. You know, like a shark through water, right? You gotta be moving and gotta be headed towards something. If you're just wandering aimlessly without goals, and they could be small goals or small markers to hit. The 10th event, you know, have a big event to plan, whatever it is in your own world.
Sure.
Have something like that to look forward to, so that the mundane happens, but you have stuff to look forward to. You're doing stuff for other people. You're doing stuff to progress your life, building bricks so that you can actually build a better foundation for your life. Okay, this year I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Those are things that I'm looking forward this year. That's why I go to work. That's why I earn the money. That's why I spend 80% of my life at work, to do X, Y, and Z. Otherwise, you are just, you know, working for someone else or for yourself for survival.
So I think maybe we're looking at different scales here. You know, I look at it as, the 10 event for me, you know, you enjoy, I think, for the most part, Spencer, what you do. Nate, you do too. Like I'm looking at the everyday wins here first and foremost. I think the big ones are great. Vacations or whatever it might be, big work events, whatever it is. I mentioned earlier that I feel like I'm in a good stride right now, you know, with getting back, like where I'm like mentally and physically into the gym and working out, trying to get the health back and all that stuff. I think maybe I'm looking at it on a smaller scale than everyone else is.
You're trying to have little wins every day.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? That's where I'm saying the pot. Like, that's what I was like listening to this stuff. And I'm like, where is the positivity? Like, we're calling it mundane. We're calling everyday life like just fucking like it's just everyday life. And like oh my God, like here, just got to go back to work. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, where is the positivity? Like, Nate, like you talk about work like it's your favorite thing to do. And then when we talk about these triumphs and everything else, it's like you talk about like you sold a expensive bottle of whiskey or you had a big sale. And it's like, I hear you get so excited about to a lot of things, like a lot of people, like it's like okay,
Those
that's
are wins.
another day at work, but you talk about it with such enthusiasm. And then we talk about the bigger picture. You're like, well, no, I just like going to work and I like doing this. And you don't want to do the big ones. And then it's the frame of mind here, in my opinion, with this topic of what was brought up here is like, and Sean Anderson's comment and how we've responded. It's like, that's where my emotions coming from. I'm like, it's sad hearing this shit, because I think you guys are close friends of mine, and I think you're doing well, but it's like the way we're talking about life is just like, no, everyday life is the majority, and then every once in a while you have a triumph, and I'm like, oh damn, it's not just the big events.
Well, I like where your head's at, because it's a wake up call. Sean?
I agree with you, Steve, because the small wins are the things you have every day. It builds that foundation.
Sure.
And it allows you to be present and take in the moment that you're in at that time. And it's always good to look forward to things that you have down the road, vacation or whatever you're going to do, but it's the journey that gets you there too. So it's if you're going to like I have a golf trip I'm going on in April. It's going to be a blast. I used to do it all the time. I'm so excited to get back. But if I were in living my day-to-day life, which I had in the past, sometimes it's easier than said than done at certain days that it's hard to see the wins. But if all I did was focus on just negativity every day, and all I had to look forward to was that trip, there's so much time between now and then that I could find to make the good things in my life.
Looking forward to Friday afternoon.
Yeah, make it
What's about 5 o'clock? Like, just
make
get through
smaller
that day.
goals. Like you guys know a couple weeks ago now I started a new job and I love it. And I was in a job that was very daunting and very demanding. And I know the job that I have is going to be stressful at times, but I'm actually excited to get up tomorrow and work, but I busted my ass to get to a position to be in this position where I'm at now. So it's not always been easy. It's been hard. And I think that when you're caught up in those days where it is daunting and it's easy to get blinders on and just be so focused on the negative, because at that point you're just trying to survive. And some way you got to find a way, it's like, find your happiness, find a way. And my wife is always encouraging, like, she wrote a list out one time when I was struggling with this. And she was like, these are things I want you to work on. And she's like, go for a walk, go to Tinder Box, like do things that are, even if it's just an hour of your day, to try to find some time to have your time to allow yourself to enjoy it. I think, and again, I understand with what Steve's saying, but there are days when everyone's going to have a hard time seeing that. So
absolutely.
And so, but then when you finally get a day where you get to be like, feel like you had a good day or you had a win, remember these days and try to bring that back to yourself when you fall back down. So,
I think in our society, and I'm looking at the comment right now by Justin, is that we tend to, when someone says, asks about you, like, who are you? Most people start off with, what do they do for a living? If we can somehow get to the point where what we do for a living is an aspect of us, but it doesn't define us, even though it's, I think that's the goal, because work doesn't define you. That's not going to be on your tombstone. And if you can figure out a way to not have work define you, it can be an aspect of you, but maybe not define you. I think that's a starting step to it.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think that what
you guys are lucky. You truly have a passion for your industries. Not everyone has a passion for their industry themselves.
No, I would agree with you on that. I mean, but there was a time where, like, my identity was I was the moving guy. I worked at a moving company, and there was a time with that job in that career that it was that I did have a passion for, because that's what I did for a living. So I think there is a little bit of a balance there. Yeah, it's a lot more fun to sell cigars and smoke them and talk about them and have people that are interested talking to you, and you're the expert, if you will, to them, whether you should be or not. But it's just this perspective. I was getting at this. I'm not trying to really push that towards anyone, but I've been on the other side of it. And if you don't try to Sean's point, the day-to-day stuff of changing that perspective, well, when things are going poorly, now that the mundane, the day-to-day, that's, I guess my point is the day-to-day stuff. When you're in a bad place, when you're having like the disasters, as Sean had called it, well, that's going to linger. you know, like, because that now frames your mundane, your day to day. Where if you have like that going on, you really have to pick yourself up to try to at least build it up to find your little wins. I'm not trying to be like this, like the inspirational speaker here. I've been through a lot of that time. I mean, you guys have been in my life through a lot of those times, and I don't wish that on anyone. I don't wish anyone losing anyone. I don't wish anyone losing a job, losing a relationship. That's never fun. That's never a good thing. And it does take work. And, you know, there was a time on this podcast, you know, Nate, you would always bring it up too. When I first started taking those walks, that was very intentional, because I knew what my life could become very quickly if I did not do something about it. And there was a time in my life that I would not have done something about it. And I'm happy that was something that, taking that at that time when I was depressed and going through a tough time in my life, that was something that I could absolutely look at every day. That was a little win. I got up, I got out, I, you know, walked the trails, smoked the cigars, took pictures, started putting stuff on like social media, not trying to inspire anyone. That was me holding myself accountable for a win that day. And I did it first thing in the morning. So I started the day with a win. I don't take those walks anymore right now. I'm walking on a treadmill now just to get some steps in, right? But it's finding the time. My whole thing about framing your everyday life, and it does take work, but now my mornings, thankfully, full circle for me, not saying that I define myself in a relationship, but what I built myself up to is that instead of right now getting out on the trail and walking, I spend some time with my girlfriend that just moved in a few weeks ago. So that's my win for me starting the day every morning right now, is I spend some time with someone that I really care about. And that is something that I think that you look at some of those things that can become the mundane. And I know it does for a lot of people, whether it be a relationship, going to a job. That's something that, even doing something that I really do enjoy, going to work at a cigar shop, there's times if I'm not in the right state of mind that I'm going into a cigar shop selling cigars, smoking cigars, that I didn't want to go into. I didn't want to go into work that day, because I think it's about your frame of mind with that. And I think it's the little wins that are very, very important.
I like when you get fired up.
I didn't think the conversation would go the same like that way.
Man, you gotta get fired up, man. If you see your friends, you know, that aren't, you know, thinking the way that we should be thinking, I like it.
Oh, I'm not telling anyone how to think. I'm saying that it's tough to see people when everyone talks these days about mental health and all that stuff. It's like
bullshit.
Like, guys, like let's okay, like how long are we gonna do this? What are you gonna do about it? You know, like last week, figure it out. It's like, okay, like what are we gonna do? But when things are going well, like fucking celebrate it. Like get after it. Like you got a good, like today, tomorrow, Thursday. Like if things are going pretty well, wake up tomorrow and like attack. Like if you're not religious, don't thank God necessarily, but just look around you and be like, hell yeah, this is fucking great. This is a great start. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm with you.
I had one here from Mike Dieter. This is a little bit tougher one here, I think. If I can find it. How to handle and deal with life-changing decisions that have tough outcomes no matter what.
Thanks, Spencer.
Pass the bottle there, please, for that one.
We're getting through the 7.5 pretty quick.
Yeah. Bottle sucks.
How to handle life. What was that again?
See, I'll try if I can find it here. How to handle and deal with life-changing decisions that have tough outcomes no matter what.
I think if you're in a relationship, communication is key to that. So like one of the big life-altering changes I made was a little over a decade ago when I completely changed careers and did something that was on the road, where I was away from home 5 days a week. Went from my wife and I working at the same company and being going to work together every day, going home together every day, to then she's going to work every day and I'm in another state every day. There was a lot of concern about how our relationship would handle being away like that for so long. And, you know, what we ended up doing was, you know, every night when I would get to the hotel room, I would let her know, like, hey, I'm at the hotel. And then that's when one of us would call the other one and we would talk about you know, the same kind of conversations you have when you get home and your significant other lives with you. Those are the kinds of conversations we were having at night while she's at home and I'm in a hotel. But it was trying to keep that same type of lifestyle, even though, you know, what we were doing day in and day out was so drastically different than before. It was trying to maintain some sort of familiarity and consistency.
Can we ask Mike to be more specific?
Sure.
Yeah.
If he's still listening.
Mike, if you're still listening, be a little bit more specific. But how to handle and deal with life-changing decisions that have tough outcomes no matter what. I think you have to pick the lesser of two evils, right? If there's multiple decisions that are they affecting multiple people? Is it just affecting yourself? And if there are two bad choices, try to make the choice that's less bad, as simple as that is, without knowing the specifics of it. It's tough, man. I don't have a great response to that, to be honest with you.
I think it also helps if both parties involved, or all the parties that are involved, are on the same page going into that decision.
That's fair. Make sure everyone's on the same page going into whatever the decision is. Make sure everyone's on board with the decision, even if it's a tough decision to be made.
So, like for us, you know, several years ago, there was the idea brought up to, you know, my wife and I, we live in a duplex. We were going to try and go to the other side and have her mom move in with us. Jess actually wasn't in on that idea because we would lose our own privacy by having a third person live in the same house. Yeah. But then when her mother had her aneurysm coming up on 2 years ago now, that kind of changed that conversation a little bit. So then it became more about not necessarily, you know, our day to day, but also how do we also take care of someone else when that person needs help, someone that obviously matters very much to Jess, you know, because again,
and you,
well, yes, more so Jess because it's her mother.
It's your life,
huh?
It's your life too.
It is. But like it was kind of surprising. Like if you tell someone that, like, wait a minute, you were on board with your mother-in-law living with you, but her own daughter wasn't. Like that almost sounds backwards. But then when her mother went through, you know, the health issues she did, and the area she was living in was not the same area it used to be when they first moved there. Like it was about providing the best outcome for both parties, because now that my mother-in-law lives with us, Jess isn't worried about, you know, something happening while she's living by herself. She knows, all right, her mother's living in a safe area. If something happens, Jess is there or I'm there to help out. It turned out to just, yes, there's, you know, some life issues and growing pains that, you know, still go on with that, you know, with, you know, you don't have as much privacy with there being 3 people in the household.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, the benefits outweighed the negatives in that situation. Whereas I think when that conversation first came about, in her mind, it was the other way around.
I think you answered it right there. You cover everything, right? You do your research, you do everything, you know, you figure it out. Yeah. List it down, pros and cons and all that stuff. I think certain situations like you're talking about, Nate, I mean, what's the best for all parties involved, right? So that's what you're making a decision. How do you handle that? You take time to think about what are the potential outcomes and what is best for the parties involved. In that situation, all the parties involved, it's family and all that stuff, right? I get where Jess was coming from on that situation. Other situations, sometimes if it's just the fact that you're worried that you're going to hurt someone, whether it be like you're leaving a job for a better opportunity, but he says that have tough outcomes no matter what. Sometimes you burn a bridge even though you try not to, right? Or if you have that conversation with a friend that you really don't want to have, but the other option is to not talk about it and just let it go. Sometimes you have to weigh all the options, weigh all the potential outcomes. And sometimes you do have to look at what's best for you and stand up for yourself with that type of thing. So I think with Mike, I don't know what you're talking about, like, you know, what Spencer, and he is listening, and I didn't see him narrow it down, but yeah, it depends on what it is. I think that's where you're coming from, Spencer, is that how do you handle and deal with life-changing decisions that have tough outcomes no matter what? Head on, first of all. And the second would be, depending on what the situation is, sometimes if you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, you figure out what you want to do. You don't address it and just let it fester, or hopefully it'll fizzle out, which chances are it won't. And sometimes you let things fester inside you because you don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I don't think that's what's best for you. That's where it's like, it depends. Like, I was going to say what I just said about, like, sometimes you look at all the options and figure out what's best for you.
Yep.
And then Nate gave that example, and I'm like, well, I'm going to sound like an asshole because it's like, maybe that's not what's best for all parties. You know, there's a lot of different factors. I have several people that I know now that are living with an in-law or living with parents or whatever. And it's like, that's sometimes the circle of life, that's what happens. And yes, it would be great if that didn't happen, that you could just live your adult life and not have the responsibility of taking care of other people, especially your parents, or if you have a significant other, their parents. But life can suck sometimes, and sometimes you have to deal with
sacrifice,
that.
Or you gotta make
sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Sometimes you look at that, and in the end of it, that is what's best for you, because now everyone that you care and love about is taken care of
under one roof.
But I don't think you should just let yourself drown in a situation and deal with a life-changing decision. You're like, I'm never going to make that decision that I know I want to make because it's going to hurt someone or all that stuff. And then you're the victim of that, and you just let yourself be the martyr on that. And it's like, that's good in some scenarios. In other scenarios, it's like, sometimes you got to look at that where you have just that, you have one life. Don't sacrifice the whole life and be unhappy.
I agree. I think you got to do what's best for you and your family. And if the situation was reversed, would they do something different? You know, I know some people stay in a job too long because they're worried, oh, is the company going to feel bad for, like, am I going to affect the company or stuff like that? And it's like, but sometimes that company would drop you, you know, like a bad habit if they could.
Yeah. Sometimes you stick with a situation like a job, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm gonna stick with it. And then next thing you know, you're downsized like fucking 6 months later. And you're like, well, God damn it, I should have left when I wanted to. And I thought I was being loyal and doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and
if the roles were reversed, would they do the same thing for you?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I was trying to get to at some point.
I like that.
Cool.
Well, I had that one when I was a cigar rep right after I started. There was another company, and I'm friends with the person who was the national sales manager at that time with that company. He's like, yeah, I was going to talk to you about coming to work for us, but you had just started with that company. And he knew I wasn't going to be the kind of person that was just going to jump ship. Like, hey, I've been with you for 2 months. Thanks for getting my foot in the door. I'm going to go to someone else.
Man.
But it wouldn't have mattered, because about 6 months after I was let go, that company sold and all of them were out of a job.
Yeah.
So by that point, I'd already had another career, another job, and I was already back on my feet again. Making that change, all it would have done was
Did you like being a cigar rep?
I did.
Okay. If someone gave you $100,000, $150,000, whatever the number is that makes you happy and content to leave your job, would you do it?
To be a cigar rep?
Yeah.
If it was the right situation and territory, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there were actually multiple opportunities to get back into doing that I passed on because I either didn't have a good feeling about the situation, or it was, you know, the exact same size territory. Like I did not want to travel to 8 states. Fuck that. I feel sorry for those guys that have to do that large of a territory. Because I, picked myself up and had gotten back into another career, I could be more choosy. Like when I was at Battelle, I absolutely hated there at the end, hated doing what I was doing. I hated going to that particular job. So I was looking for the first opportunity to get out of that. After that whole situation and I was with AEP, I was content. Like once I got in an office job, I was content doing what I was doing because it was stable, it was providing, and I didn't want to leave that just to try that again. Because also the failure of that first opportunity still weighed on my mind because I know what it put my wife through when that career change didn't work out. And I never want to put her through that again. And so that's one of the reasons why I've always been cautious about doing something like that again.
Sure, as you should.
Now, last year I was kind of in the same situation where things weren't going well. I had been unhappy for a long period of time because I had made a job change within the same company, hoping things were going to be better because I was going to be doing something different and, utilize the skills that I developed with that company to help that other department. But just a clash of personalities and, the manager that I had at that position, like, I was someone who went from being the busiest person on my team to the first 3 months in that position, I averaged an hour of work a week.
But to the question that he had, if there was a number there and someone offered you, you'd still have parameters.
I would still, oh yeah.
Yeah.
There would still be certain things that would have to line up. I wouldn't be chasing the money.
Spencer, if someone gave you your number or same number you have right now,
there's a reason
to do something like cabinets, like I'd say it's a luxury thing as well for what you sell. If there was a more fun product, would you?
So for me, the product itself doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
But the reason people get paid what they get paid is because they're asking you to sacrifice something, right?
Sure.
Like sales managers, national sales managers, whatever, the cigar guys in your world, they get paid a good amount of money to do what they do, even the owners and things like that. But they are sacrificing time away from their
That's the whole agreement of work in general.
So
you
it's like
hourly rate,
right? How much am I paying you to change your lifestyle?
Yeah.
And in sales, I have 5 states, not 8, but 5's a lot.
It is.
And it takes sacrifice, but that's why they're paying you because they don't want to go to West Virginia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's all a balance, right? And everyone's got a different at-home situation.
Well, and one of the things I learned from that career, and there are some exceptions in the industry to it. Steve, you and I know several of them, but from my experience in being an on the road cigar rep and knowing a lot of cigar reps, most of them are single.
Yeah, let's get a young guy who can run.
You don't get a whole lot of
traveling salesman.
Exactly. You don't get
there's both, right? So there's
the
young people that are single, and then there's the older guys that this is their life and they're married and they've been married for 30 plus years and they're middle aged and this is life. You know what I mean? And yeah, man.
But I mean, when
different.
when I worked for LFD,
the middle ground's tough though.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
yeah. When I worked for LFD, I was the only married sales rep in the company, and that came out when we were on trips as a company. That trip to the DR, like those guys treated me differently in a negative way because I was the married guy.
I can't relate.
I think in general, as you move through life, right? Single people hang out with single people, married people hang out with married people, people that have kids hang out with people that have kids, and that's just kind of how it rolls.
Yeah, I think you can have friends in a lot of different like life situations, but you do tend to gravitate just because that's what everyday life is.
Same lifestyles.
Similar lifestyles, yeah. And also similar availability with that lifestyle.
True.
Well, I don't have any more questions here. I say we round out the whole episode here with some, as we call it, closing remarks here. But I mean, you guys can talk about whatever you want. Sean, you want to chime in here?
I'm good. I'm gonna get
Okay, yeah, get out of here. Yeah, we didn't want to hear from you anyways. That's cool.
I'd like to talk about Sean here first.
Well, wait till he leaves. Yeah, you're not going to tune in, right? Because this is
No.
Not while
yeah,
he's driving.
You don't follow the show.
I'll start off. I'd like to congratulate you guys on over 300 episodes.
Thank you.
It is a triumph and something to be celebrated. And I hope you all, I'm sure you do appreciate, but 300 is 300. That's not a fluke. That's a plan. That's a, I don't know what you may be able to do 300 of anything.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. What is the second cigar, Steve?
This is the Romeo y Julieta. This is the Connecticut, Nicaragua, made by Plasencia for Romeo.
So this is a phenomenal
I know.
cigar. So thank you very much. What does this one retail for, out of curiosity?
$10, give or take.
Okay, so this one I would pay $20 for. Another one.
Got to reverse it.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to sell you this cigar for $20.
I'd take two. I would
All
take
right,
two.
let's go. I already have your card information. It's fine.
I enjoy the community. People are. You never know what battle people are fighting with on their own end. I try to think about that. It just doesn't happen as much as I want to.
It's tough,
that
man.
everyone's having their own battle, and you're always trying to get something out of the other person, but it's really they're everyone's dealing with their own battle.
I don't know if I gotta do
John's
it.
dealing with his own internal battle.
Not anymore.
Personal battle.
Not anymore.
Thanks for sharing that.
It's a hot
But
box,
I would
that's
like
it.
to congratulate you guys on 300 episodes. Nate, you taking over when you did. You kept this thing alive, and I'm grateful for that. And Steve, I'm grateful that you do still post these online. For me, it does make my drives easier as a salesperson.
Happy to hear it.
And it's always a learning experience whenever you get to hear yourself talk, because you really don't get to physically hear yourself talk that often, and to actually know where you actually think about things.
I think you listen to your episodes definitely more than I ever listen to anything after the fact.
Well, they're better. They're better
With you on there on 1.5 speed,
My mom says that they're better. I listen to them on 2.
especially your episodes.
Oh, they're 3 hours, bro. So just to physically get through them.
Sorry.
Yeah, get through the mundane. Just,
Oh, wow. I was trying to round this out at 2, but now we're at 2.5. Go ahead.
I feel bad how harsh we were on the Uncle Nearest, as we have, almost killed a bottle of it. And I think it has grown on me, but appreciate the cigars. Tremendously looking forward to the 10th event, and cheers to 303.
Yeah, and cheers. You mentioned you're on the road, and Justin Turner has been listening tonight. He's on the road right now, I think. Thanks for the conversation tonight. He says, I really took some things away from tonight's episode. I got some work to do in life. Congratulations on 300.
Made my night. Thank
That's
you.
awesome, brother.
Wonderful.
Cheers, Justin.
We're not experts, technically. Doctor? Question mark.
6 years. A lot of people go to school for 6 years.
I think we're experts on the BS part.
Absolutely.
We drink a lot of bourbon, smoke a lot of cigars, but it's the BS where we really shine.
Yeah, really set ourselves apart. Nate, how about you? Anything you want to round out with?
I mean, no, it's good talking about like what we're all looking forward to this year, because that means that we've all set some sort of goals for ourselves, either professionally or personally, for the next year. And I think sometimes we get lost in the day-to-day that we forget some of those goals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice to have kind of a refresher to make you think about those again. I'm I'm looking forward to some of the changes that are hopefully coming in my career this year. After I made the career change last year, so there's a lot of things I'm looking forward to this year.
Good.
Work wise, and then also household wise. The trip we got coming up in
Awesome.
April, and then
then we have that get together in February.
Oh, we do
before that.
Oh, okay.
I thought. I mean, maybe I was listening to a different podcast.
No, I'm messing with you, Steve. I've also got my niece and nephew are both getting married this year, like a month apart from each other. So I'm actually looking forward to that. Because
there you go.
I used to babysit them when they were kids. So seeing that
they have age now.
Yes. Yes.
On the screen there.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you for your service, Ray.
No. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on this year, and looking forward to a lot of things going on. It's just I think what I have to do better at is focusing on the upcoming and enjoying when it gets there, and not getting lost in the day-to-day to where I forget to enjoy when those things come up.
Yeah. Well, and that's celebrating the everyday wins, the small triumphs. I think you have to appreciate that. And the first thing about appreciating that is recognizing it. Right? So my big thing, and I don't know, it's everyone gets in those moods or whatever, but I think it came across tonight a little bit where, it is exhausting to live a life where it is, as the word was used tonight, is mundane. I'm not saying that everything needs to be exciting. The grass is always greener. Any of those like mentality traits where you're just looking for the next best thing. I'm saying it's exhausting after the last several years, and in this country going to look forward to another election year. It's already starting, and it's been going on, but I'm saying it's coming to the forefront. I'm around people, not at this table. I'm not saying anyone at this table, but I'm saying I have people in my life that it's just, some days are good, but a lot of the days are just like people are miserable. And I just
don't get it, or trying to shake them.
Done with it.
Okay.
I'm like that. That's it. When I went on my little, like you said, I like to see it. It's like, where, like, what are you doing? Like, I get having a moment, Spencer. I've been there when you said you were talking with Jennifer, and you're just like, I don't like, you're kind of like, I don't want to fix it. I want to complain. I want to vent. I want to do that. That we all have that, right? You have a bad drive home from work or whatever, and it's like traffic sucks. Like today, last couple of days, it's been raining. Everyone can't drive in the first place. Everyone can't drive in the rain, and we got cut off. And think you can complain just to vent. That's totally acceptable. But like anything else in life, any other situation in life, you look at the ratio. And even if you're trying to be very, very general, if 51%, the majority of the time, it's not a good situation, do something about it. Because if 51% or more is negative and you don't like what's going on, you don't like the people you're surrounded yourself with, those are your choices. So you can complain, you can piss and moan about it, you can be in a bad mood, but just know that you're not benefiting yourself, and you are alienating everyone else around you. And now all of a sudden you have another problem, is that no one wants to be around you, and now you truly are living in that disaster that, you know, Sean used that term. You're the problem. All the problems you're complaining about and all this stuff, whether it be your relationship with friends or someone that's close to you, whether it be your family, whether it be your job, whether it be money, whether it be this, to a point, everyone says this when you say, hey, how you doing? Well, I complain, but no one's listening. You heard that before, I'm sure.
I try not to be around that person.
That's what I'm saying, is that it's like, I'll listen to it. Are you going to do anything about it? Are you going to listen to what I say? Do you want feedback, or do you want just a vent? But if you come in on one day, or if you're that person that one day, a Monday, you come in and you have like, you had a bad weekend or whatever, that's one thing. But if it's you don't know who you're dealing with that day, because they more often than not, they're negative. Like I said, like, where is the positivity? Like, does your life suck that much? Or are you literally, to Sean Anderson's thing, are you celebrating the disasters more than the triumphs? You got a good life situation going on, but all you do is complain about your job. All you do is complain about money. All you do is complain about your significant other. All you do is complain about your health. All you do. And then okay. Like, really? That's what you're doing? And all you're going to do is the same goddamn shit today? That's not okay. Like, where is the positive? Enjoy the life you have. I know it's basic, but it's just like, when I've had bad things go on in my life, I've done the best I can. There is a survival time, right? There is that. But if all you're doing is trying to survive through this life without putting any effort to change your surroundings or change what you can,
or find the joy,
a lot of times you are masking the joy with just sorrow.
Some people just love to complain and not
just saying. All I'm saying is, you know, all you do is complain about other people complaining. It's a never ending cycle. LOL. Bobby, absolutely. It drives me nuts.
Is that Bobby Bottle Service?
What's that?
Is that Bobby Bottle Service?
That's Bobby Crow.
Like I said.
Okay. No, that's fine. You know, and that's a resounding thing in this. And Texas, Bobby, right? I gotta tell you, yeah. And if that does bother you or anyone else, then don't listen to the podcast anymore, because that is my 2024. I'm hoping that it is going to be all that shit I'm done with the best I can. I know I'm going to have my roadblocks. I'm going to have all that stuff, but my goal right now is to find the positivity the best I can, because it is exhausting to be that person that tries to put a positive spin on things for a lot of people. And all I do is just nothing.
Those are the kind of people you stop inviting to your holiday parties at your house.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Spencer, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Cheers, guys. Enjoy your week.